Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier.
Have you ever imagined creating your own PUBG game mode? Well, now with UGC Alpha, that imagination becomes real. All Plus users can create UGC Alpha sessions. Getting started is simple. Just go to Custom Match, UGC Alpha tab, then create your own session or join a friend's. By default, only the host can edit the mode, but editing permission can be granted to participants through settings. With UGC Alpha, you can place props, build custom maps, and set your own game rules. Anyone can join and play, up to 100 players per session. Want a simple but challenging parkour mode? Or maybe a chaotic deathmatch? You make the rules. You can save your creations anytime, or load them up later to keep building, even if it's not your mode. If you find a fun session while playing, just hit Save As and keep a copy for yourself. Need a head start? Try one of the official sample modes provided in-game. In the next video, we'll dive into object placement, movement controls, and how to bring your map to life. You can use the standard WASD keys to walk around. Double-tap the spacebar to switch to flying mode. Tap C to descend and space again to go up. Hit B to enter build mode. Now you can start placing props and devices anywhere on the map. To open the full editor, press P to launch the Edit Manager. Here, you'll see all available props, from walls and stairs to full buildings. Click any object, then press 0 to 9 to assign it to a quick slot. You can now press that key to place the object instantly. Need to fine-tune? Use E and R to rotate or scale. Use F and G to adjust distance. Press X to lock to axes, and Y to ignore collision. Want to test gravity? Just hit T to toggle gravity on your object. You can also copy, delete, or multi-select with simple mouse clicks and hotkeys. Next up, we'll show you how to set the rules of your game. Rounds, respawns, teams, you control it all. Let's dive into the rules setting. Press P to open the Edit Manager, then switch to the Rule Set tab. Here, you can fully customize your game logic. Set the number of rounds. Choose a score limit or time limit to end each round. Define how many teams play, anywhere from 2 to 100. Set team size, 1 to 10 players per team. Enable or disable respawn, and set its cooldown timer. Add invincibility after respawn for smoother gameplay. By enabling fill test players, you can spawn dummy bots to test whether your custom mode is functioning properly. If you'd like to play a solo game instead of a team match, simply adjust the team count and team size settings in the rule setting menu. For example, if you want a 100-player free-for-all solo match, set team count to 100 and team size to 1. Next up, we'll introduce the devices. Let's dive into the device setting. Devices are the logic blocks of your custom mode. They make things spawn, trigger, score, teleport, explode, and way more. Let's start with the core 4. The following 4 devices are essential for creating a basic game mode. Player spawn device controls where players appear. Player event device reacts to kills, survival, or any player action. Score manager device gives or removes score based on events. Round event device resets scores at the start of a new round. There are a variety of devices you can use, like triggering a red zone or setting background music. Feel free to get creative and use them however you like to build a fun and exciting mode. Trigger is when a device sends a signal to another device to activate it. For example, if you configure an enemy kill event in the player event device and connect it to the score manager device via the trigger tab, the player's score will increase when they get a kill. On the other hand, action is when a device receives a signal from another device to activate itself. If you set the player event device as the action target of a change score in the score manager device, the change score will be triggered by the signal sent from the player event device. Coming up next, we'll build a sample mode from start to finish so you can see how it all fits together.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
It is PUBG Player Cup time in what is a packed schedule of PUBG action in the Americas coming up over the next few weeks. It's Gibson, joined by Chunks, to bring you the action of what is the final cup before the upcoming Masters that begin on Friday night.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an exciting one, and I'm excited to be back with you, Gibson. It has been months since we last casted together. It feels like we started out, we were here every weekend, and then you just abandoned me just so you could go to PNC. I'm a little bit hurt, but I'm happy to be back with you, and I hope you had an amazing time. And I'm sure we're going to have an amazing time this evening as well, with 16 teams in the lobby. Our partner teams are back from those international LAN events, so we're going to see a lot of familiar faces in the lobby, and more familiar faces in terms of the teams that have already qualified. But let's refresh ourselves on exactly what they're qualifying for. It's going to be the next Masters. $20,000 on the line for that Masters. But to get there, you have to make it into the top 8.
Yeah, Masters 3 out of 4 that have been listed. So to qualify, you got to get into the top 8. Now, just a reminder that some of the teams have qualified already tonight. So that means that if you land a little bit lower down in the leaderboard, you still have a chance of qualifying. But the format is 4 maps every single night over 2 days, so it's 8 maps in total. Get yourself into the qualification spots and you will be playing in this weekend's Masters, where, like you said, there's a $20,000 prize pool. But that's not all, because we're just off the back of EWC, and now we've got the PUBG Players Cup. We got a Masters at the weekend. PAS qualifiers, I think, will start next week into PAS, and then into a double dose of PGS action again. So we have a packed schedule coming up. But you want to know who's playing and taking part in the action tonight? Well, all the teams are up on your leaderboard right now. And as you mentioned earlier, we are welcoming back Rock. We're welcoming back Team Liquid. We're welcoming back Toyo. And we are welcoming back Falcons. All of those teams did their very best over at EWC. But now, I just have to start looking forward again.
Yeah, it feels like while Falcons have been gone, chat has just been complaining, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of happy viewers today seeing them back in the lobby, seeing how they're able to perform, because while they've been gone, as always, EMEA have been stepping up. They've been so strong, and they've been consistently getting into the prize pool. Remember, it's $400 for first place, $300 for second, $200 for third, and $100 for fourth. But the most important thing this weekend, if you haven't already qualified, is making it into that top 8, because that qualifies you for that $20,000 Masters coming up on Friday.
Yeah, it's just around the corner. The Masters format, it's a little bit more familiar to people at home. 18 maps over 3 days. But we'll look at what teams have already made it to the Masters. So Mira, Bestia, Potentially Dangerous, aka the Bandits, 55 Esports, and Furia. And of course, as you and I both know, Mira, they play every single cup. It does not matter whether they're qualified or not. They're back in the action tonight again.
Yeah, it's because they're always at the top, aren't they? They're just farming cash at this point, because the beauty of this event is that, sure, you can qualify, but you can still come back and compete again. And when you're a team that's as dominant as Mira have been, I can't think of a week where they haven't been in the prize pool, at least in recent memory. Maybe back at the very beginning of the tour, there were a couple of weeks where they weren't. But, I mean, every week, without fail, Mira have been so dominant, even after making those roster changes. We spoke about Kawazine so much at the beginning of the year. Now making those changes, it really hasn't affected them that much.
Well, last time around, they actually outperformed Furia. So when you think about it, Kawazine leaving, Mira are still going on their merry way and performing at the very top of their level. So it's exciting to see what they can do over the course this weekend. I expect Falcons, Al-Qudsiya, I expect to see Rock and Toyo all battling to get into the qualification for this week's Masters. One thing I do want to say, though, I think at this moment in time, Rock just get better and better and better. And boy, were they good over the last few weeks. We're going to jump into game number 1 of the night, though. It is Miramar to kick off this week's PUBG Players Cup.
As we hop into the lobby, I do want to mention there has been one roster change that we should take into account. That's going to be Luminosity. Isla is not going to be playing with them this evening. Michael is actually going to be filling in their place. I was actually having a little chat with Michael on his stream the other day, and my understanding is Michael and Empire, he still streams for them. Empire are now officially kind of gone from PUBG, at least for the time being, which means Michael is looking at his options. He's doing a bit of a tryout today for LG, so who knows, if he performs well, this could be the new LG roster going forward.
Well, it's worth keeping an eye on. It's also worth keeping an eye on El Azahar, as we've got ourselves a hot drop right off the bat. Faravero and co looking to pick up an early point on the Phoenix, but nothing to be found just yet. But this hot drop worth keeping an eye on, because of course it is just one dose of Miramar on the night. A lot of damage being dealt in the early stages, but no knock to be found just yet.
I think with how eastern the playing path was as well, it's really forced teams to go for those alternative drops, which is why we're seeing this hot drop. And I was really holding out hope we were going to get one of those island circles, because I always hope for it when we get that eastern playing path, but not to be. But still an interesting area of the map. This little valley area that we constantly see in play is really difficult to try and work around. So that's going to be a big spot to try and watch as we stay on this hot drop in Elazar. Things have slowed down a little bit. Phoenix, actually Kufa's got taken down extremely low. He's been able to pop an adrenaline syringe, but doesn't look like he's got any real heals, so needs to be very careful as he loops through, making sure he's not going to be caught out, because a single bullet could finish off the job.
Needs Santipro to provide some covering fire. Give yourself the opportunity to go to a different building, find some meds, do something to get yourself back up as high HP as you possibly can. On the other side of things, no Lego, Martin Sukiro, Faravero and Fisher are working as a closed fist to clear this building. All of them working together in a group. You can see that Phoenix are fleeing backwards into the distance. Kufas could be the first one to taste the rocket as it peeks on through. They open up the door. The stun grenade is going to be thrown here, Chunks, so they know exactly where one of these Phoenix players are.
Know where one of them is. It was a frag, but he's able to get a knock out of it. Takes down Martin. Soup clearing through. Knows he's going to be in this final room. Not throwing out the Panzer. Instead, Fisher going to be able to find the knock. So, trade him for the time being. Neither squad able to confirm a kill on the board. A little bit surprising that they didn't go for that flush onto Kufas. I think they're a little bit concerned that there could be players nearby, and they need to be concerned with Laser landing shots from the off angle. He isn't actually able to connect as much as he would have wanted to, though, so they confirm themselves the flush. That's a point on the board. They still haven't found the revive. Souk Hero with the Panzer actually getting third party from Al-Qudsiya, dropping down at Minas. They've now rotated up, and they are surrounding this city for the third party.
You make two noise in a section of the map like this, and Al-Qudsiya will be on their way. So Martin and Sekiro both down. Phoenix with a chance to pull things back. Laser not able to deal with the kick of that AK and get the knock that he needs. However, Phoenix, they've been given a lifeline, and that lifeline was Cowboy from up on high. But you gotta be careful, Santi, because you stay here too long, you expose too much of your body, and that angel from above will certainly become a devil on the shoulder.
Phoenix now wary of Al-Qudsiya in this position. We see another crash happening in the center of the in the center of the circle, sorry. as Resmi getting the high ground. I think they have an idea that no way have players inside of this compound. Not being able to find any line of sight just yet. No way regrouping. They're going to stack up as a four-man. Potentially, as Vinny hops in the vehicle. Surely they know about the players inside this compound. Surely they're going to group up, but no. It looks like they're going to be happy with the 2-2 splits. Now, Valiant goes for the flank round the other side. In the Elazar fight, though, Laser Wow gets the knock onto Souk Hero, and that puts Phoenix at a player advantage.
Starting to get that AK under control. As you can see, Faravero's just picking on the lower side of this one, but just isn't able to find an angle of note onto Laser. Ammo becoming a little bit of a premium here, though, for Phoenix. You've got 30 rounds with 14 in reserve. Faravero will go for that res once more. Al-Qudsi is still keeping an eye line over the edge of the circle. Al-Qudsi have only sent 2 players here at the moment in time, and I spoke about 2 players. The other 2 being watched by potentially dangerous in your picture-in-picture. That's a great knock from Fisher back onto Laser Wow.
Phoenix going to try and move over for the revive, sorry. So this could be NL's opportunity to try and push, but as the doors get shut, they now have the read that the revive's coming in. Resmi have opened up some shots. Their position now going to be given away in that picture-in-picture window. Faravero sweeping through with the Panzer, but hesitant to engage. This AKA will take down 1 from 55 Esports. Sorry, make it 2. As Faravero continues to sweep through. For a circle like this, with so much position to play, I'm very surprised to see so many early game engagements.
Yeah, well, it's funny, right? Because one of the engagements is based off the back of a half rotate by one of the teams where they sent 2 players into the position. This El Zahar fight, though, this is up and up, a straight-up boxing match off the hot drop. Faravero still wrapping around, dying to get that opening with the Panzerfaust. You can look that Phoenix are on the other way, so we'll jump back to this other battle. The rest of Resmi are going to arrive as Valiant will land on this position. And Valiant with the MP5K here, Chunks. He really wants to use that little buff that SMGs have gotten to its advantage.
Certainly hoping to make something happen out of it. They managed to equalise the fight as he catches more damage over on towards Lopez. Valiant preps the nade, going to cook it, throws it through the window. Is it going to bounce right? Not quite. Lopez taken down low, but it's not going to be enough to finish off the job. The second might, though, as he spots the open door. That should be on the money, but no! Somehow not able to connect. He spots a little pixel of Lopez, but he's now getting third-party by DNL. Spectro watching the cross, finds the knock to go with it. Resmi crashing the compound, coming out on top as Samcro manages to find 1. But there's only going to be 3 players left, and that's if Resmi can get the revive. Don't forget, there were third parties around this position. 55 are looking this way now.
How did Otasaka Yu manage to win that gunfight out in the open as well? But just like that, we lose our first team on the battleground. 53 players left alive. Looks like at this point, no, there you go. They're going to start wrapping the other way around El Zahar now. They've disengaged off the back of this fight just a little bit, and there's no problem with that. Also known as, they've got a problem though, as LG are going to come rocking on, and what the hell? C4 by Vox. He is going to absolutely obliterate, aka Zinni is the last player left standing for this side. Michael and Gats will look to work together to deal with him. And oh my god, look at that. Michael decapitates him. And this is a great crash so far by LG, but it's not done yet.
Michael showing why he's a former world champion. Spinning around, catching the headshot, finishes off the player. When really, I mean, LG should have been down to a solo at that point. Gats boosting up, getting ready to take the peek. Michael preps the nade. They have a read on where the player is. They've seen him run through. The door open, rolls round, but it's actually Psycho to third party and get the kill.
55 Esports from way downtown. Get that angle onto Nano, the Doo-Doo Gladiator. My favorite name, by the way, in all of PUBG right now, that I get to say Doo-Doo Gladiator every single game. If anyone wants to copy that and make other versions of Doo-Doo Gladiator, I definitely would like to hear what your best version is. Kurt, though, from Team Liquid, off the back of, as he would put it, a very disappointing EWC for a team that finished second in the world earlier on this year at PGC. They need to qualify for Masters, by the way. They're not there just yet. Luke will look to help things out. A pop of the tire of that car on Gats. And remember, there's only 2 LG players standing.
They're still committing to this fight. I mean, they could definitely try and make something out of this, but it's going to be a difficult one. Michael peeks up. It's Gats, though, that's catching Sparkin from the off angle. The nade seems to be on the money as Michael peeks out. Will be getting caught out in the open. Taken down. It leaves only Gats left up now for LG, but he finds an amazing headshot over on Sparkin. Luke 12 out of bullets in his DMR, but Alo's there to finish off the job. On the topic of DMRs, somebody in chat asked it earlier. We are on live server, which means that that DMR change has now taken effect. So I'm interested to see whether we're going to see many changes to how teams play this, whether we're maybe going to see some more bolties, or whether it's maybe a bit too new to make those major adjustments just yet.
It's a big rip, honestly. I love DMR plays. I love seeing the best players in the world rattle them off the best way they can. I think the Dragon off will still be pretty useful. We will see maybe a little bit more gunplay from the sides of both these. But I think that some DMRs will still be useful. Some will still be utilized, and I think that rate of fire, even though you get a little bit less and it doesn't really do as much damage, it is still going to be, in some cases, the best option for long-range engagements. Pipa from 55, he's rocking on up. We're Valiant by Saloon over here. Might just be able to get a kill in Wild West, but will Pipa be able to win this battle?
Not sure whether he has the read that anyone's in here. I mean, the doors are open. He's probably assuming that someone has at the very least already looted it. So they send a vehicle back round. Might just be a bit of a bait. Valiate looking to find the angle. Spots out Pippa in the open. That'll be the end of him. Pretty free knock there, but now the rest of 55 are going to start closing in. Psycho hopping in the vehicle, maybe opting to move away from this one. Pretty sure we saw 55 lose a player earlier on, so that could leave them down to just a 2. Now don't forget, we've got the res beacon. Spectro is near it, and Resme are down to a 3 at the moment, so if they manage to pick up the blue chip, they could bring a player back in, but that res beacon is so open.
It's also already been used, as well as you can see Resme are bringing Zyko back into play, so it'll be out of action for at least the next few moments. That's why it was so important that Valiant won that fight. He was the player that was holding that compound for the rest of the team. Potentially dangerous. No kills on the board for them yet, but they are already through to the next phase, into the next Masters. Enemy keeping an eye on what's going on as Ortray will look over in the distance, but gotta be careful, because I can see Karashi over on the other side of the ridgeline, and if he just looks a little bit to his right, he would have Ortray dead to rights.
Yeah, potentially dangerous is set up in a really good position to try and do damage onto this fight. Tsukiro nearly finding the knock onto Kami. One more bullet might have done the job, but not to be as Faravero starts to open up. No Lego looking to try and finish off this fight. It's just not happening by the looks of things. The vehicle's smoking, but it's behind the ridge, so we should be safe. And Anzera actually runs over a player. It's Tiggleton getting the first kill of the game for Falcons, who's able to flush it out, but potentially dangerous. I said they had a stronger position. It seems like it's all for nothing at this point, though.
Yeah, Night of On, he's got enemy in his line of sights as well. Can't get the flush onto Zig, as you can just see the angle of the train working against them as this battle's happening on the south side of the circle. The winners of this fight, though, they've got to contend with Falcons. Tony will switch over to the Dragonov. One shot should do it, and Tony lands at Ortray. Will be the next one to fall. Lostson, he's rocking on up. He maybe thought about going for the res, but I think at this point it is all about just surviving, getting out of there, moving inside the circle, but the vector that he is taking in will open him up to a potential line of sight for Falcons. So he needs to try go as far to the east as he possibly can.
Circle centers up. Teams should be able to play that southern ridge as long as Falcons decide to group up. But honestly, I don't think they're planning on it. They're such a confident squad. We've seen their recent performances at LAN events. I don't imagine that they're going to feel the need to group up as a 4-man when they know that these southern teams are going to have to make a move in. BL will finish off Lossin. So that's the end of enemy. As Kufas now getting called back into the fights, will be able to provide a little bit of extra support for his team. I think when you recall this late into the game, though, you do have to start wondering about loot, what you're actually going to be able to grab. Maybe his team have already been able to take down the bodies. BL looks to try and take down Cowboy.
Yeah, it's actually curious. There's 2-2-2 splits happening inside the circle right now. Rock being one of them. They're holding both compounds on either side of this main road that runs from Hacienda to Cruz de Valle. And then a little bit further to the edge of this one, there's a 2-2 split from Alcudia. Relo is up towards the north. He's working with Roth to try deal with Tun Sahur way up on that northern side. While on the southern side, the rest of Alcudia are holding on to a compound, but they have got to be careful that they don't find themselves coming under heavy fire. Look at that. Roth will get caught out by Loki. And that's one member of Alcudia down. And Relo now is all by himself to the north.
Haven just trying to shoot through the door, open up an extra angle to try and find. Decide to move back. He is out on his own right now. Team Mirror, we mentioned earlier just how strong they have been. I'm a little bit surprised because Team Mirror, it feels like whenever we see them in a Miramar game, they're getting a squad wipe in Phase 1. Doesn't appear to have been the case this time, but they're certainly going to try and find one sooner rather than later. You can see that squad just out ahead of them. They are not inside of the circle, so Mirror might be setting up to try and gatekeep here.
15.5 minutes gone on the game so far. Faravero for No Lego. They are out inside the blue. As you can see, it's doing about 3 damage every single second he sits inside, but at this point, he's going to let Phoenix rotate on past as these two teams continue to just get involved with each other as the game goes on. But Chunks, this Phase 3 circle, it becomes Phase 4 pretty soon, and once it does, the damage ramps up even more so. So for the members of No Lego, they got to get on the move.
Speaking of the damage ramping up, did you see those shots from D? Multiple headshots onto vehicles, nearly able to take one of those Tun players down. LFP looking to find an angle onto others. Not having any success so far. Circle getting ready to pop as No Lego actually opted to take a really far northern rotate, finally coming into Cruz de Valle. It might just work out for them though as the circle hard shifts up to the northeast.
Yeah, that circle shift as well. You got to look at some of these positions right now and think to yourself, like, this road and ridgeline is a good position to play, provided all these areas to the north are clear. And at this moment in time, that's not the case with Team Mira not too far away. You've also got the likes of No Lego on their way inside the circle. Way down to the south, though, keep an eye on what's going on because Falcons will rotate towards Rock, but we're going to lock in here to Cruz de Valle as No Legos. Well, they're getting pushed by Team Mira. Fana pops on out and somehow Chunks. Fana still on his feet, eventually taken down.
Fana is going to be kicking himself. He wasn't able to find an angle onto Martin and ends up getting punished by Souk Hero. Be surprised if Mira are able to get the revive just based on the split that they're currently taking. Falcons, they've decided to try and take Rock's compound, which bearing in mind isn't even inside the circle, but they realise that if they try and rotate through, they're just going to be an open target, and then they're going to have to try and deal with Rock once they are in the zone and weakened. So they would rather just take the fight aggressively. That nade, if it lands, could be the end of BL, but down to 14 HP, narrowly surviving. Rock trying their best to stay in this. This H-Win watches from an off angle. Will try and go for that revive onto Kickstart. Should have enough cover to make something happen as H-Win just trying to find something. Nades will now get returned by BL. The BZ should force Tiggleton out of that building. But right now, he's just not able to connect with much of anything, except for when Kickstart gets res, he immediately goes for the second knock. So now the question mark is whether Falcons will even attempt to go for this revive again, or whether they want to push this as a two-man and that third player anchoring further away.
One of the most dangerous birds in the sky going up against one of the biggest mythical birds there's ever been. Ruben RBN will find a knock, but he's instantly traded back by Shrimsy. H-Win and Shrimsy, the last two players up for Falcons now. You'll see a little bit of loot has been picked up, getting something from Tiggleton. The res will be attempted, and inside the bathroom, those nades from Souls are not going to hit pay dirt. Rock slowing down the tempo just a little bit, but Falcons will be back up to 3 members, and now they are, and the numbers will swing in towards the side of Falcons. Can BL get a knock onto H when he does a little bit of damage, but not quite enough? And now BL up on high. He's got to be careful. And look at the Souls gets the angle on the Shrimpsy, and that leaves Tig and H1 as the last 2 alive.
Really nicely done from Rock to be able to defend this. They've significantly weakened Falcons, both players down low as H-Win probably going to fall to the blue. You'd imagine that Rock are going to be able to find the flush onto this one. So they try and confirm it, not having too much joy. Cowboy there to third party. And now it's all on to Tiggleton as the final player left up. Cowboy waiting to feast on the scraps of this fight when it finally concludes. Tiggleton down low, manages to pop the first aid in time, preps himself the frag grenade, throws it up towards BL. Will it be able to connect? Seemingly not. Down to his last first aid kit. Tiggleton, time pressure is on. As Rock start to move away, it might provide him a bit of respite, but Cowboy's still going to be waiting, and he's happy to try and flush out that kill onto BL.
Unfortunately, though, for Al-Qudsi, he's not able to lasso up that extra point, so Souls will be the last player stand. That molly is perfect. Glock lands it right on top of Souls, and that is another team down. 9 left alive as things stand, as Al-Qudsi have 3 kills of their own. Remember, there is a little bit of a difference to the prize point distribution, or placement point distribution. It's not a top 8 get point. Sparking's got his eyes on the Zico now. He does a ton of damage, but Toyo providing some support. And Kurt, no! He gets the knock onto Alo. Kurt, why you gotta do your boy dirty like that?
That's the kind of play that I make. Don't ask Mark about it. He'll never let me live it down. The nades landing close to Team Liquid now, but not going to be enough to finish off the job as Emmy tries to land another one.
21 minutes of elapsed now. Emmy stepping across. Toyo won a couple of maps at EWC against the best teams in the world, but unfortunately, we're not able to capitalize by climbing the leaderboard. Oh, wow. What the hell, Emmy? A 3-bomb with a nade as Fisher, Martin, and Sekiro are all going to drop at the arms of Emmy. And now the question is, Emmy, how aggressive do you want to get off the back of this? I think he's a little bit too worried here about the presence of Resmi not too far away. And Team Liquid, that's why Emmy's not trying to flush those ones out.
Yeah, needs to be very careful. If Liquid hears something going on, you know that they are going to be happy to push in and get involved. Psycho takes down Valiate on the rotate. Looks to try and find Spectro as well. It's Glock, though. Finishes off the job from long range. Nade comes out as the vehicle shoots over the top of Psycho. Resmi just about able to get inside of this zone by the looks of things, but they need to be so cautious because they are wide open from the north. If Purdy decides to peek up, which he will, he's going to look down in this location, but not able to get the shots off in time.
Yeah, Kurt, because he couldn't hit the shots onto Odosaka and taking a little bit of damage himself, will dip into cover, realizing he's the off-angle anchor player for Team Liquid. The rest of the players stepping. Odosaka Yu will get another knock. This time it's Kerak that's going to taste the lead of Resmi. 6 kills on the board for them. 3 for Odosaka Yu. Him and Zyko will need to work together, but they should be able to deal with 55 Esports. But Tony from Potentially Dangerous, they're way down to the south. You actually look at the circle. Potentially Dangerous have gone for a massive land grab.
This is huge from them. I was about to draw everyone's attention to it as Resmi will draw the attention of RNZ, will get taken out in 9th position. But as soon as that circle popped, Potentially Dangerous, they immediately sent it out of that compound. They took those power positions. They want to get this zone control, but they need to be cautious because there are so many squads with multiple players left up. We've got Al-Qudsi over to the east of them that are now starting to take some shots. Mira's still with 2 players up. Toyo and Liquid both moving in from the north now. 55 should provide a little bit of a buffer on that one, as RNZ not taking damage from the BZ. I think he might have a jammer pack, which could be a saving grace. Kirk gonna send it in, swings round the back, trying to find an angle, will find one, looks for the second, and he still got it. 8th place for 55 Esports as Tiggleton follows in 7th. Falcons going down as Team Liquid just ramping things up, already on 8 kills, looking for more, and I just saw a mortar in play.
That 1-2 punch, the stun grenade in tandem with the push from Kurt was perfect. And he caught them cold. Potentially dangerous now. They know that Cowboy's a little further towards the south, so Glock, if I were you, I wouldn't be going for the res. I'd just pick him up, get him inside the BRDM, and get on your merry, merry way out of there. Get inside the smoke. Wait, has he abandoned him?
I have
Glock?
no idea. Unless he expects an aid to come through. I mean, if this was me, I'd just be sending the BRDM over trying to get the road kill. There's no Lego. Down in 6th position. Toyo, even with 3 players, still able to pick up 4 kills from this game. Now making their way over into the placement point, getting aggressive. But I'm not sure whether Team Liquid are the team that they really want to be pushing right now.
2 battles currently ongoing on the circle. A battle of the north. Team Liquid and Toyo are going head-to-head in a South American, North American brawl. A little bit further towards the southeast, it's the exact same as D. Lands a great nade in. He'll get the point on LFP, and Capitan from way up on the north is able to kill the final member of Mira. So no Miramar this time around, but for Alconcia, still 2 players up, 5 kills on the board. PD now have everybody back on their feet, but it's a 4v4, v3, v2. And as we said, potentially dangerous, looking to deal with Alconcia, and Tony will certainly help with that knock on the Cowboy.
Yeah, D will fall as well as Glock finishes up the job. Alcudia down in 4th and potentially dangerous, really making that proactive push work for them, but they need to try and prevent Team Liquid from pushing in. Tony just trying to land the long-range shots onto Alo, lands 1 in the end, picks up that deployable shield, goes to adjust it, maybe realizing now that the only team that can really cause damage on this hill are going to be Toyo, so they throw down the shield for that little bit of extra cover. Sparking will try and get involved, but quickly Nightavon able to respond to the audio cue, catches some damage, and we're into the top 3. And bearing in mind, all of the top 3 teams have not lost a player yet. Toyo joined the lobby with only 3.
Well, the saying goes, out of the frying pan and into the fire, but you look at this circle right now, and there's essentially a frying pan. All these ridges on the edge of the circle, and then it's flat ground in the middle. Toyo, they're getting pushed. Benya's going to get bullied here as the vehicles rammed into him, and that might just be the opener that potentially dangerous need to get. 2 players in position, a nade at the ready. Capitan, he gets a great nade on the Kuroshi, and that will level the sides up for now. And look at how quick the 3-man of Toyo are on the move. Yes, you've lost Benya, but you're going to try to do the exact same thing. Emmy steps up, but Glock will get that knock, and Toyo are dealt with. Potentially dangerous and Liquid in a brawl, but no sooner is that finished here, Chunks, but Team Liquid pushing up to PD.
Alo narrowly being saved by his teammate's flashbang as he throws out one of his own. All the util being used by Team Liquid. It's their signature move as potentially dangerous on 9 kills. Tried to swing around, but Luke 12 just peeks up over the top. Finds one, but Nightavon, Tony working together to find a knock apiece. That leaves only Alo left up. Tries to find the final PD players, but it's going to be Glock who cleans up. And that's 13 kills and a 1st place for potentially dangerous.
That is a big win for them. Lots of points on the board, but for all the teams that are looking to qualify, well, I guess if you're not going to win the game, you want the team that's already going through to the Masters to pick up that chicken dinner, and that's exactly what happened. Team Liquid, though, big game 1 to get things up and running, but I think for some of the teams, Chunks, apart from Toyo, that were way over at EWC, it's a slow start for them. Not the best game for Falcons, not the best game for Rock. And just like that, you'll see some other teams taking up a bit of a lead after 1 map.
Blame it on the jet lag. I know that some players have had a rough time getting home from EWC, so we'll give them a bit of a break. Maybe they just need to lock in, get used to playing on ping again, because playing at LAN, it's a whole different beast, but they need to adjust quickly because there's only 3 more games remaining this evening, and I just love the use of the BRDM. I gotta think, though, maybe PD could have used it to finish off Alcudia earlier without losing one. Who knows, but Alo, he tried his best, managed to get a knock out of it. But in the end, it's Glock who came out on top. It was a really close fight between PD and LG right there. I mean, Team Liquid, it could have gone either way.
It really could. Let's take a look at our leaderboard, though. After 1 game, potentially dangerous. Up to 23 points after that win. Liquid in 2nd with 13. Toyo in 3rd with 10. Alcudia, Resmi, Falcons, also known as, and Mira round out your top 8. But it is only 25% of the way through the night. Chunks and I, though, we're going to throw it over to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be game number 2. We'll see you guys in a few.
Oh my god, we killed them both! Whoa! Holy shit. Up there. Guess all up. He's down.
Oh, hell no. Yoink.
Tree's still digging. Go, bro, go, bro. Yeah, this thing's gonna go quick, bro. You gotta go. No way. Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh!
Shot. What? No way. No freaking way.
Every time I close my eyes, every time I close my every time
Welcome back, everybody, to the PUBG Players Tour. It's the Players Cup. It's the final opportunity for these teams to qualify for the Masters. They need to make it into the top 8, and they have 7 games left to do it. But only 3 this evening, and the first of the 3 is going to be over here on Tago. And we can't forget those partner teams. They're all back now, so I have to imagine there's probably going to be some hot drops tonight.
Yeah, like you said, short nights, 4 maps on the night, 1 down already, and every single game has a lot of movement within the leaderboard. So to kick things off in game number 2, the flight path going from northeast down to southwest, finishing just south of the peninsula that Hosan prison is on at this point in time. And Chunks, I'm looking, and I'm not really seeing all too much in terms of potential hot drops to kick things off here in Miramar. But what is curious is how late that the members of Rock have dropped. They dropped right at the very end of the flight path. They're going north towards Hapo, and well, that circle could not have gone further away from them.
Yeah, now they're looking for an EP already this early on. They've got a long rotate ahead of them all the way over at Hapo. They've split up big time. The same being said for 55, though. Look at this. They've actually sent players down to the south to try and get vehicles, not committing everyone into fishing camp, which is interesting because we often see them actually go and try and third party onto Al-Qudsiyah.
Yeah, I think that I'm looking at it. They're Al-Qudsiyah. They're well known to get involved in any action, but 55, they've got that compound to the south of the bridge all to themselves. But I'm looking, right? This is a map that there's so many ways to get into the circle if you went north. Like Toyo, LG, Al-Qudsiyah, they've got options. They can work their way across. The question is, do any of these teams here on Tago know, or at least have the patience to hold on for one of those bridge camps? Because I'd be thinking, right, if I'm LG, I want to cross into the circle very late. Or if I'm enemy up to the north, I want to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for bridge camps here, but honestly, with this circle, you're really going to sacrifice a lot of that zone priority if you want to set those up. So it'll be interesting to see. Is Fakes in? There we go. I said Team Mirror on Miramar, they always get those early game kills, and they managed to find another, but that's absolutely huge from Farah's, throwing down the pre-nade, able to take down LFP, but I don't think there's going to be any opportunity to get the flush.
Yeah, Fakeson's driving a little bit further north at this point, but like you said, LFP should be brought back on his feet. But for Team Mira, it's a kill on the board nice and early. Fakeson picking up that one and securing a compound towards the center of the circle, just northwest of Kang Nyong, which will give them tons of movement opportunities. You hear some gunfire a little further away, and that's just some of the Team Mira players letting any teams rotating by know that the compound is taken.
They're going to need to, because look at the squads that are rotating. Just a reminder, make sure you pull up that map stream with !map. You can see all the rotations, and you can see just how close Team Liquid are getting to multiple squads now. We've got Tung Tung Sahor looking out as Purdy Curdy heads in this direction. They've not made any audio cues yet, but Loki is out on his own. The other side of things, Team Mirror, they're further over to the east, so Team Liquid seem to have just found a spot between the two of them for the time being. As FNX going to be sending it up the hillside in a bit of a clown car situation by the looks of things.
Yeah, just working their way inside the circle. I think that sometimes you gotta do that, right? Sometimes you've only got one vehicle to get everybody in. Mira, they will hear Team Liquid fresh off the back of a big kill, second place for them, 13 points. They were able to wrestle for themselves in game number 1 and making a send now in towards Kang Nyong, where AKA are just on the other side of it. No ego though. You've got Martin here. He's got a Panzer at the ready, and I think that he just knew that he wasn't going to have enough time to get that Panzer shot to strike. There wasn't enough lead time to hit that knock.
No, and now he may just be punished for it, as Resmi have done a complete 180. They are moving into this position. Faravero trying to find the off angle as Martin ready with the Panzer, but he can't connect. Spectro. He crashes into a tree, but it doesn't matter because he's still able to take down Martin. Sukehiro trades it. Valiate will fall. He was that anchor player. So now Zico has to close in and try and provide some support. And yeah, no Lego. They've got themselves a BRDM this early on. Can the Panzer do anything against it? Evidently, yes, as Faravero jumps out, find the knock. Zico quickly there to trade it out. Resmi looking for the reses now, as it appears that Fisher might be out on his own to try and deal with this one.
He's got Sekiro a little bit further behind him, but at this point in time, he's got to get something going. Spectro holding the angle on the other side. Sekiro will jump up on top of the high ground, and that'll give him a line of sight on the Spectro, but Spectro should have seen him on the other side himself. Nade is good from Spectro. It blows up the vehicle, so Faravero is now down and out. Valiant will get the knock onto Fisher, though. That means there's only one player left standing. Sekiro up on the roof, and Resmi. Yes, you've lost Zico, but you should be able to deal with the last remaining player for this team, unless Sekiro can pull something out of the bag.
Sukehiro keeping his head down low. Using that third-person camera, trying to avoid exposing himself. This is a nice little spot that he's been able to find. Spectro might be able to spot him out, though. And obviously, the more time he commits here, the less he's going to be able to cover for that cross. Realises it may be coming through as the smokes start to bloom. Spectro's moved a long way away. I'm not sure whether he can even get an angle onto this one. As Resmi, well, they're going to hop into the BRDM. At least one of them is. Not sure whether this is for a crash or whether he's going to try and move over to Spectro, but it looks like Valiate, he's just completely sending it around, and that BRDM, even with the Panzer landing so close, is pretty much on full health, so he's almost immune to anything for the time being.
Yeah, Otasaka Yu, he's closing the gap now. The smoke is going to give him a line of sight, but I like how Resmi are just spreading out and around. Elsewhere, though, Cowboy gets himself one level D, but Santa, he is there to do some damage. Santa, of course, MVP at EWC, and himself a nice little bag of money. With Calcudsia, they will deal with RNZ. Pipa's dealt with now as well. Alcudsia, they got to get out of there. You lost one because Rock, they're going to hunt them down.
Santa, definitely a standout performer for Rock. Trying to find knock. It's BL and RBN who are able to find one apiece, though. That's D and Roth, both out the fight. So on the other end of things, we spoke about that no Lego player, the final one left up. Tries to take down Valiate, but to no avail. 16th place for no Lego. Well, Resmi, they've now got themselves a BRDM to work with, which is no small thing. We've seen just how well they can be used, but Relo, he's got a tough time ahead of him. Don't get me wrong, there's a res beacon, but he's really relying on Rock rotating away from this sooner rather than later if he wants a chance of using it, and that's not even taking into account the fact that 55 are now third party onto this fight.
Yeah, 55, it's a long angle they have. It's not really easy for them to find a knock, and having lost two players, I don't know how aggressive they are going to get towards a team like Rock. But this is all happening right on the edge of Phase 1. Now, it doesn't really mean that much, right? Oh, is it going to be good, though? That's the real question.
Hey, I just want to see it. I mean, they've got a team that's completely out in the open now. So, I mean, if they got the read, if they've thrown down the marks, they've opened up their map, they've checked the distance, surely you've got to think they're going to be able to land something here.
Well, the only thing is, right, it is...
Oh, they're moving.
It is one thing getting the knock, and yeah, Rock are on the move, and honestly, for Kerak, he's not a million miles away from where they were, but all this is doing is slowing down your rotate into the circle. But I'm not that worried about that, Chunks, because it's Phase 1, you're taking 1 damage a second. If you can convince Rock to leave here, you can go in a little while and get that res. Go get your tags for Orenzir and Pipa, bring them back into play, because it is only 1 damage a second. It's not a massive problem for these teams, and there are res stations not too far away. But if you look at it, I think Relo is camping the res station in Hosan, waiting for one of those teams to maybe do it. Yeah, that shift, by the way.
Wow. That shift was about as far east as we can go. So what, this is actually like Phase 5 circle? Are we going to go that far? I mean, like, the majority of this circle is completely cut out now. It is so open over on the east as well for these teams. This is going to be really rough for these squads to try and play. And yeah, I do want to go back to that point you made about Relo. As the solo, he has the opportunity to go and grab those blue chips. But you've got to imagine 55, if they're going to use a res beacon, they're going to be using the one in Hosan that Relo is really banking on.
Yeah, I think that you could have a lot of pressure coming that way now. I'll be curious to see what happens, because something's got to give. Falcons, they're rotating past Mira now. Tiggleton looking to do some damage. Zenny here from also known as will tag up Fakeson just a little bit, and that sends him off into the distance. But they know this position is no longer feasible. But Chunks, this circle is 50% unplayable. All these teams have got to scrap and brawl to find somewhere to play.
Yeah, this is brutal, and just if you pull up the map feed now, you'll see everybody's sending it to exactly the same positions. Falcons, they've already got a knock over onto Team Mirror. They nearly found a second on Haven as he was taken down low, but it's going to be Tiggleton that finishes off LFP, looking for Haven as well, but focusing on the flush first of all. Smokes come out, they have a read on where that player's going to be. It doesn't seem like they have the lethal util that they probably really hope for to try and finish off the job, but Tig, he's hopping up over onto the rock, keeping an eye out towards Fakeson, making sure that he's not going to be able to peek them and stab them in the side. Don't forget though, AKA, they're also nearby. They could try their best to third party as Fakeson getting caught with the BZ. It's just a little bit short, so we will be able to remain relatively safe for the time being as Haven relying on just a smoke for cover. This is a bold play.
Well, this is a three-way battle up on the edge of the circle, and they say it takes two to tango, but we got three teams just doing the dance of death here on the north side of the circle. 2 kills for the Falcons as things stand. They're the team with 4 up, and they're in the middle of that sandwich between Mira and also known as. But for also known as, Chunks, their problem is it's a 2-2 land grab split. A lot of ground's been taken in a circle where there's not that much ground to take, but shots like that will definitely help them when trying to hold all this territory.
We can't forget about the fact that a red zone has just popped over these squads as well. The only player that actually has hard cover right here is sure AKA have it, but also Fakeson. He's the only one that's actually fully engaged into this fight that has cover from above. So sure, it's not super likely we're going to see a squad get wiped by it, but it's still something that we can't rule out now that we're in this updated phase of PUBG Esports. Sparking though, he's keeping his team updated. Zig goes down, will be flushed out by Alo. Knows that Anzera is still nearby. The nade, it looks pretty spot on. Should be able to find the knock, but it's just a little bit far. Luke 12 though finds the headshot as Psycho finishes off Relo over on the west. So that's how Kudzir out.
That was the res station. Remember we spoke about it a little while ago. So 55 eventually do find that kill. So Team Liquid, they're going to try to deal with what's left of enemy here as Sparking will jump up and over that wall, but the player's not too far away. They're on the other side of the wall, way to your north. The gunshots going off will feed that little bit more information now to the King of Brazil. Sparking confirming out that kill onto Anzera, and Lawson though will catch out Kurt, who was completely oblivious to that player's position. But Kurt's done something useful here. Kurt's garnered that information for his side, and provided the 3 players of Liquid can still take advantage. Oh, Sparking, what a nade that was. That'll get the knock onto Lost, and just one player, Retray, left standing. He had his chance onto Sparking, but he missed. And if you come at the King, Chunks, you best not miss the Sparking. He's going to get it done. No, he's not. Team Liquid dealt with Retray getting it done.
I'm not sure whether it was the flash, whether it was the health, or whether it was just the pure skill coming out from Retray there, but he comes out on top and keeps enemy in things as Falcons taking out Mirror, the team that have been so dominant in the Players Tour, now getting pushed out by arguably the most dominant team historically in Americas. Falcon on a tear right now as they finish off Team Mirror. They're still inside the zone, but they need to be careful because if you pull up that map feed, you will see that Luminosity are also starting to rotate in. Falcons up to 4 with 4 kills on the board, getting the pre-nades. They know that LG are going to be around somewhere. Can they connect? Gats is spotted. He's tagged down low with the grenade. Frags are being thrown. Shrimsy returns one of his own, but he's almost run into one from LG. Michael finds the damage as Shrimsy goes to pop the first aid. All the Falcons players healing up as H-Win trying his best to play point on this fight. Wants to get involved, wants to open things up and punish LG for keeping a player back. Use that player advantage for all it's worth, but they managed to get the knock into the vehicle and they are going to retreat off of this one.
Yeah, you've lost Gats. You're going to flee a little bit further back, and I think Michael's going to pick up that little truck, get it on its way. Shrimsy, though, that thing is slow. That thing is not what you want to try to get away from the arms of one of the best players in the North Americas. And that is why Shrimsy gets it done. Another player down for LG. Shrimsy picks up that point. But I think for Michael, once you get inside that truck, as slow as it is just a go signal for Falcons to step up.
Rock, though, they've heard a signal of their own as they're looking to prevent Resmi from resin their teammate. RBN, he spots out the BRDM, but it's too late. Zico's going to be there to find himself the knock. Resmi have been able to get back up to 3. But let's not forget Pippa, he's out on the edge of the zone. Never mind, he got knocked and flushed. Santa going to be the one to finish off the job. Resmi, 5 kills on the board now, as they're going to be aware that 55 are around this area, and they're going to start making their rotate up to the north. Spectro will be getting tagged up inside of his UADs, and I'm not sure whether 55 know that he's got a BRDM for support.
Yeah, circle shifts once more, and as you can see, that no way will consolidate their position. They were holding a 2-2 split, but realizing that there was so many teams off to the east, go take that compound. Give up the 1 on that junction. Let somebody else have it. You don't want to get caught out getting crashed as a 2 this late into the game. BL, he's not too far away as Rock will look to tread some ground inside this zone. 55 the same. They've finally made it inside the circle all the way over from that western front. But again, look at all these teams just sending it into the zone, Chunks, because there's so little to play.
Shrimsy trying his best to land the shots over the hill, but Doodoo Gladiator coming out on top of the peak battle for the time being, at least from the point of survival. Nightavon takes down Neptunes as Falcons looking to try and commit. Tiggleton, here's the vehicles behind, tries to take some shots over onto enemy, but no joy. Kickstart finds a big headshot, but it's going to be Doodoo Gladiator that finds him in return, and ultimately finds the knock to go with it. Tiggleton trying his best to take the aim battle, but it's difficult right now. He is under so much pressure from so many different angles.
Tiggleton just keeping an eye off on the south. You can see the Kerak, though. He's sneaking up on the north side. The knock was found on the Vox. He's trying to flush that one out, but realizing that Snakers is not too far away. A nade is going to get thrown a little bit further away, but Vox will hug that tree for dear life. That is his salvation. That is his security blanket if he wants to stay alive a little bit longer inside this game. Gats will try to wrap around the other side, get an angle here onto Kerak, but I think Kerak, realizing the rest of the team are rotating, will just step inside the blue for just a little while and allow his teammate to wrap around. So let's jump back to this AKA Falcons battle.
Look, I do quickly want to touch on something. I know that DMRs have been nerfed, but I think that Kerak taking the Panzer as a long-range weapon, it's a questionable play, but we'll see if he's able to make anything out of it, if any vehicles head his way shortly. Speaking of vehicles, Falcons using theirs to try and surround AKA. Tiggleton still pinned down up on the north, and you know what? Never mind, I take it all back, Karak, because there is a BRDM coming straight for you. He needs to be able to find a clean angle. That's exactly what he does. Takes down Valiant. There's still going to be one more player that he's not aware of. Whiffs the shot with the Panzer, finds a second as well. It's only going to be Spectro left up. Karak, he's running straight over for this BRDM. Going to try and get himself a long-range weapon. Ultimately, a little bit more ammo because he's only got 27 out. Tiggleton finds himself one knock, looking for a second. Immediately has to hit the first aid, though, as his teammates, they try and find a crossfire, but Necro with the third party is making it almost impossible for them to peek.
Tig, though, finds himself inside phase 5 blue. 2 first aid kits left to use and 5 bandages, but if he tries to step across the side, an angle will be opened up. Another spray from Shrimsy finds a little more damage as AKA lose their position on the side of the circle. Kickstart. Come on, kick. There we go. Kick finally gets it done. Retray will be dropped on the side of enemy as they fall in 10th place. Falcons get it done. Tiggleton can now wrap inside the circle. And at this point, they've now got to battle once more. But I'm looking at it, Chunks. Phoenix, with 1 player left alive, are holding a compound all to himself. Surely somebody is going to crash that spot.
Gotta think so. I mean, where else can you really play inside of a circle like this? There are a couple of ridge lines off to the west, but you need to clear out everybody to be able to make something happen. Rock, they've already sent players in. This is bringing me back to PNC now. We've seen an end game in a position like this. See how the circle shifts going into the next phase, but right now BL, his focus is just on preventing potentially dangerous from being able to make it in. It's LG with only 2 players left up. 3 players left up. Will hop into their vehicle ready to make a move. Spectro is all the way out in the blue now. Maybe just going to be looting up, grabbing some util, grabbing some meds, because he knows that he is not going to have an easy time making it into the circle. Tiggleton gets the 10th kill of the game for Falcons, though, as they commit onto Loki's position. They now still got 2 players, that opposing team, to try and deal with down to their east.
Yeah, Gats just jumping up over the ridgeline. You know that Falcons are not too far away. It's a chance to get some revenge onto the Falcons after taking down Michael, but Tiggleton with 42 damage will force Gats back into some cover. Now Falcons, realizing what happened earlier, probably have a good idea who this is. Souls will just wipe out Kamish from Tung Tung Sahur as he managed to make his way, well, I thought he had managed to make his way inside that circle. It's another point on the board for Rock, but Falcons, they're not pushing on this just yet because you're waiting on Shrimsy and Kickstart to join the battle. You don't want to give up any knocks to Vox before everybody's in position.
Vox being careful not to overpeak. Gathering info now as the rest of his team take the shots. Snakers realizing his position's compromised, will need to move back a little bit. Nades landing through, wrong side of the wall. Flash is starting to open up. Snakers going to be wary that a peek could come through here. The other side of things, Rock, they're trying to finish off Necro. Grimsy looked like he found an angle. Might be able to find the Molotov though, as Kufas goes down to Emmy. That's Phoenix down in 9th. Players caught on fire. Shrimsy gets the opening knock over onto Voxic, but it's Gats holding further back who's able to trade. Tiggleton with the jump shot takes down Snakers, finds the flush onto Vox. It leaves only Gats left up, barely surviving through that Molotov. Flashbang will get returned, but he's not even had a chance to pop a heal. It's 1 bullet from Kick that finishes off the job, and it's Falcons on 13 kills to take down Luminosity in 8.
Yeah, Falcons dealing with LG pretty quickly, and now they can focus on moving into the circle once more as their circle Teflon is in position. Souls, hey, there you go. He just said, I see a truck. I know that there's bound to be somebody not too far away, and Necro will be taken down by Tung Tung Sahur, as that's another point on the board. Emmy, though, while all that was going on, Emmy from Toyo has had a little sneak peek up towards the north. He knows that Falcons are here, and he thought he could find a knock.
Falcons getting ready to make their move. Vehicle is low, and the dip maybe a little too high. Not really too playable. I think they were hoping it would be in, but evidently not the case. Sandcrow tries to find the bolt shots. We had a feeling it might happen with the DMR changes. Right now, no way. Pretty comfortable in their position. Not under too much pressure, although you'd imagine that will change when we get to our next circle. Potentially dangerous. Rock. Neither of them have to move, but Rock are already sending solds off to the west. Credit to Spectro, by the way, being able to survive so long out in the blue, but you got to imagine things might be over for him as he runs down the hillside. Solds will spot him out and finishes off the job. We're into the top 5.
I think you jinxed the poor guy. He was living his best life, and then you mention his name, and well, he is dealt with. Souls will look to get a knock onto Falcons from range, rocking that MK12, 100 rounds in reserve, and
C4.
here comes the C4, here comes the C4, boom goes the dynamite. Tig gets 2 as the Thunder from down under will ring out 2 players from Norway. Now you've got Lopez in a race against time to try to get the res off, but look how quick Falcons are positioned. Kick though, knocked by DNL and Lopez in a 1-2, looking to deal with Falcons at this point in time, but this is a massive battle for this compound in the north, and Toyo have rocked up as well here, Chunks. Adria will find a knock, but Emmy will get one of his own.
Shrimsy's looking at a whole different fight, though. He's taking shots up the hillside over towards Solds as they need to focus on clearing out this building. No way, still have a player inside. He's got the Panzer. As Solds trying to find an angle, Shrimsy opts to go for the other building, hoping that it will be clear, and this time it will be. Looks out for Solds, finds the damage. Can he get the knock? Not quite. One more bullet would have been able to find it. Peeking out, using that shield for a little bit of extra protection as the circle, it shifted slightly down to the south. Compound is still going to be in. This now force is potentially dangerous to start making their move. They could hold 2 players on the other side of the road, but based on the fact that they're a 2-2 split, it looks like they actually want to get involved into this fight now, potentially come in from the north and do some damage, pick up those all-important kill points as Santa just waits for Tiggleton to make a mistake.
14 kills for Falcons, though 3 each for H1 and Shrimsy. They're the final 2 birds standing. Rock a little further away, but for Falcons, they are playing the gilly in the mist, the Bushmen, as things stand. Santa, he's closing that gap for Rock, but while all this is going on, PD are just having a little peep, a little creep, trying to work out where they could possibly move to go back to back on the night. Night of On, he's got Santa in his sights, fires off the first round and the second and the third, but Santa, he manages to duck, dip dive and dodge his way back towards Rock, and that was a big opportunity for Night of On. Lost.
Yells heard Tony move that vehicle. He's going to prep himself a nade. Maybe he wants a bit more info though, because he's only got 3 left. You're in a compound like this going into the end game. Util becomes oh so important for clearing things out. Now spots out Emmy, but a little late with the scope in. Lopez on himself that Panzer, just waiting for those Falcon players to try and make their move, but the same could be said for Toyo. I will say though, maybe a little bit more protected from Toyo, since Rock are looking over in this direction. Gonna really struggle to make a cross, but for the time being, I imagine things slow down. Don't imagine anyone makes a push until we see exactly where Phase 8 goes, because for all we know, PD are still going to be inside when the next phase pops.
Falcons likely just got themselves a little bit of level 3 gear there, by the way, as that drop came in. When you've got 2 players alive, a level 3 helmet and a level 3 vest is going to do you some favors as the circle gets ready to shift once more. Now, if this goes west, it is problems for PD. If this goes towards the east, though, they could be eaten good. And what does it do? It centers up, but they now need to cross the road. So, Chunks, they have a decision to make at this point in time. Do you go south to Rock, where you know it's a one-on-one fight? Or do you go north and take advantage of the chaos that's going on up in this position? No way, with 1 player left alive, has got a Panzer at the ready. And you know if that Panzer lands, that Falcons are going to push to deal with Toyo.
I think the only play that PD can make right now is to go down to the south. The Rock down on the south, they have just so many angles onto this fight. You can see that's why Toyo have used so many smokes to try and make this cross. They're going to try and send it in. Flashbangs will come out as a little bit of a bait. But Lopez, no, he switches away from the Panzer at the most inconvenient time. H-Win's there to try and find one with the links, but Lopez finishes off the job. That's Toyo out in 5th, followed closely by No Way in 4th. H-Win looking for the link shots, finds BL. This is PD's opening to start making a move now. They have to get involved, try and capitalize onto this fight with Rock. As Falcons, they're on 15 kills. They show no signs of stopping, and PD, they could just be the saving grace for the Falcon Souls. Tries to land the headshot, isn't able to, but gets the knock in the end. Kuroshi failing with the seat swap, and he finds a second to go with it. 2 players left up from Rock, but they're about to make it 3 as the underhand nade comes down. Soul tops in the vehicle, gets over to safety, and that final player taken down so low. 2 left up now for PD as Tony goes for the heal. Flashbang lands through. Santa tries to find the peak. He's not going to be able to. Nicevon's got the Panzer in play. He connects onto Santa.
And that makes it a 2v2v2 now. This is anybody's game. Souls is not too far away, but Tony is going to step on up with a Groza. He'll get his one as potentially dangerous get kill number 5. BL is the next rock target standing. He's got an AUG. He's peeking around the corner, but Nightavon is trying to bait him into the first move. The first mistake. Falcons, though, they've got a wrap on the edge of the circle. They are waiting to pick up the pieces. There's the step on up. BL will fall, and now Falcons make their move. Shrimsy moving on up, but Chunks, it's a 1 versus 2 in this fight, essentially, because Falcons were separated, and now they've both doubled down. You've got one player left alive, Tony, with a Groza. He's going to wrap around Shrimsy. He'll hear the steps, and Falcons in 3, 2. I was about to say 3, 2, 1. I thought he would get there in time, but Falcons should be getting this win, and it should be at least 17 kills.
Falcons have played this perfectly. They've forced Tony into the building. As this zone creeps in, the likelihood of him being able to get out gets slimmer and slimmer. He's got 2 exits. One goes towards Falcons, one goes round the back. Shrimsy's going to hear it, trying his best to get up onto the roof, but it's not going to work out. Going to give it one last try and really needs to make this. But no, he's just a little bit short.
Tony.
As surely they're not going to be able to make this jump from the rock, right? No, Tony, he's going to have no joy.
He's like 3 or 4 foot off, but he's getting nowhere near a Chunks.
Runs out in the open. H-Win looking for the cross. Finds a little bit of damage. Shrimsy assists with that one. Tony, with next to no health, pops the heal inside the smoke. But right now, Falcons, they just have him funneled into a position. The Groza, it's also powerful, but it's nothing if you can't find the sights. Team Falcons, 18 kills and a win. A huge game for them. Huge individual performances, and really impressive to be able to clutch that one out with only 2 players in the end game.
Well, the 28 points in game number 2 will make up for what was a disappointing game at number 1 for them. But points on the board for Falcons as they take advantage. Tiggleton got things started for his team. Shrimsy found another one on the Michael. Well, everything in PUBG has an impact on the win, right? So Falcons, they won a battle on the eastern side of the circle. They moved round to the west. They wiped out LG. They moved then into the circle, but they took their time. They were getting knocks and they were getting kills, but they weren't getting overly aggressive and throwing caution to the wind. Every time they got a bunch of kills, they paused, they reassessed their option, and they let the lobby do work for them when they couldn't do it themselves. It was brilliantly played from Falcons.
Absolutely. So impressive to see them take those fights, take those rotates, know when to disengage, and somehow be able to commit onto fights that I don't think many other teams would have been able to make it out of. Really good teamwork from Falcons. It's the reason they're one of the best in the world, and absolutely demonstrating that in game number 2 of the evening. But let's take a look over at the standings for that game, and it's no surprise that Falcons have a clear lead in terms of the points from that match. 28 points, an insane performance from them.
Yeah, it goes to show when you've got a 15-point gap over the team with the second most points that you were dominant on that map. 13 for Rock, 12 for PD, then you jump down to Resmi on 7, and the points start getting lower and lower for them. So let's turn our attention to the overall leaderboard to work out how things stand. Falcons should now be up in second, and yes, they are. They're on 32, but 2 good games back-to-back for PD keep them just in front with 35 points.
Now, I know it's pretty early on to be bringing this into the grand scheme of things, but we're looking at the top 8 to qualify through. Those little gold marks that you see next to teams' names, they're the teams that have already qualified. We typically expect the teams that have already qualified to be comfortably in the top 8 and then freeing up qualification spots further down the leaderboard, but that's not been the case today. Sure, PD, they've had an amazing showing, but it kind of limits the amount of qualification opportunities. If you're one of those teams down in the bottom 3, you've got a long jump to make, but there's still 2 more games to go tonight. Obviously, the 4 tomorrow. We're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back with game number 3.
Have you ever imagined creating your own PUBG game mode? Well, now with UGC Alpha, that imagination becomes real. All Plus users can create UGC Alpha sessions. Getting started is simple. Just go to Custom Match, UGC Alpha tab, then create your own session or join a friend's. By default, only the host can edit the mode, but editing permission can be granted to participants through settings. With UGC Alpha, you can place props, build custom maps, and set your own game rules. Anyone can join and play, up to 100 players per session. Want a simple but challenging parkour mode? Or maybe a chaotic deathmatch? You make the rules. You can save your creations anytime, or load them up later to keep building, even if it's not your mode. If you find a fun session while playing, just hit Save As and keep a copy for yourself. Need a head start? Try one of the official sample modes provided in-game. In the next video, we'll dive into object placement, movement controls, and how to bring your map to life. You can use the standard WASD keys to walk around. Double-tap the spacebar to switch to flying mode. Tap C to descend and space again to go up. Hit B to enter build mode. Now you can start placing props and devices anywhere on the map. To open the full editor, press P to launch the Edit Manager. Here, you'll see all available props, from walls and stairs to full buildings. Click any object, then press 0 to 9 to assign it to a quick slot. You can now press that key to place the object instantly. Need to fine-tune? Use E and R to rotate or scale. Use F and G to adjust distance. Press X to lock to axes, and Y to ignore collision. Want to test gravity? Just hit T to toggle gravity on your object. You can also copy, delete, or multi-select with simple mouse clicks and hotkeys. Next up, we'll show you how to set the rules of your game. Rounds, respawns, teams, you control it all. Let's dive into the rules setting. Press P to open the Edit Manager, then switch to the Rule Set tab. Here, you can fully customize your game logic. Set the number of rounds. Choose a score limit or time limit to end each round. Define how many teams play, anywhere from 2 to 100. Set team size, 1 to 10 players per team. Enable or disable respawn, and set its cooldown timer. Add invincibility after respawn for smoother gameplay. By enabling fill test players, you can spawn dummy bots to test whether your custom mode is functioning properly. If you'd like to play a solo game instead of a team match, simply adjust the team count and team size settings in the rule setting menu. For example, if you want a 100-player free-for-all solo match, set team count to 100 and team size to 1. Next up, we'll introduce the devices. Let's dive into the device setting. Devices are the logic blocks of your custom mode. They make things spawn, trigger, score, teleport, explode, and way more. Let's start with the core 4. The following 4 devices are essential for creating a basic game mode. Player spawn device controls where players appear. Player event device reacts to kills, survival, or any player action. Score manager device gives or removes score based on events. Round event device resets scores at the start of a new round. There are a variety of devices you can use, like triggering a red zone or setting background music. Feel free to get creative and use them however you like to build a fun and exciting mode. Trigger is when a device sends a signal to another device to activate it. For example, if you configure an enemy kill event in the player event device and connect it to the score manager device via the trigger tab, the player's score will increase when they get a kill. On the other hand, action is when a device receives a signal from another device to activate itself. If you set the player event device as the action target of a change score in the score manager device, the change score will be triggered by the signal sent from the player event device. Coming up next, we'll build a sample mode from start to finish so you can see how it all fits together.
Welcome back to the PUBG Players Cup. Halfway through the night, 2 games left to go, and we are going to Rondo. As we know, Falcons won game number 2. We're going to watch them on their merry way onto the map. Match number 1 won by PD, who still hold top spot despite Falcons' best efforts. But Chunks, only one team that have qualified for the Masters this weekend are currently inside the top 8. That means that if you're, at this moment in time, you make it into the top 8, you're going to the Masters.
Yeah, it's really brutal up at the top end, at the bottom end of things, I should say, because not only do you have so many teams that have already qualified, those are teams that going on through the rest of this evening and tomorrow are probably going to work on stacking up some points. So if you're down in the bottom 3 and you haven't qualified already, you have a hell of a fight on your hands. It's not going to be an easy qualification for these teams, even though typically when you think, okay, 5 teams out the lobby have already qualified, if they're in the top 8, it moves that qualification spot down a bunch. It should make it easier. I'll tell you what isn't going to make it easier is this circle down towards Jadena City.
I have had this circle so many times, and it has broken my heart every time, because I'm thinking, give me Tinlong, give me Jadena City, but I just don't get it. It usually finishes just south of Tu Ling, but we might just be dealt something a little bit different. Toyo, a team worth keeping an eye on. They obviously like to drop in and around the section of the map. Usually what they do is rotate north and make their way up towards the building that you see Karak playing in right now. However, with them having full control of the circle, they can send Benya in. He can take a lot of ground near Tu Ling, and they can really get the pick of the bunch when it comes to at least early game spots.
They certainly can. They've got good priority, but I mean, we've seen what the circles can be like in the Players Tour lately. They've been wacky, to say the very least, so we will have to keep an eye on just how central things end up going and how Toyo are going to be able to play around this one. 55 Esports, they're pretty close over to Falcons. Now, the good thing about dropping over at Test Track is it is almost like 2 separate drop spots. You don't have to take a fight. But if you're a team like Falcons and you've just had an 18-kill win, then why wouldn't you try and get aggressive early and keep that momentum going?
Yeah, Voxic. I think LG and Voxic, they need to up the aggression a little bit. Michael, of course, filling in for the one and only Bizzler at this point in time. So LG bringing in a former PNC champion to hopefully increase their chances, but it's not really worked for them tonight so far. They're hoping to maybe get something going here in Rondo because opportunities to qualify are getting shorter and shorter. So a reminder, if you are just joining us or this is your first time watching a cup, it is a 4 map per night format over 2 nights. So there's 8 games over 2 nights. We're already on the 3rd game of day number 1.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on every single game. And yeah, you can have those games where you slip up, but ultimately it's about those explosive performances. It's something we've talked about since the start of the tour. You need to come out and have at least one standout game to really feel confident in qualification. If you're just going to have that average points per game of 4 to 5 points per game, where typically in a longer format series, you feel pretty comfortable that you'd be able to qualify into the top 8, but this is not the case in the Players Tour. Think about it. If 8 teams, each of them has one standout game, yeah, that average of 4 or 5 points per game is going to mean nothing. The Snakers, he is going to try and keep the average up for LG, and ultimately he's going to try and stay up because he is in a 4 versus 1 if he gives away his position.
Yeah, we're about half a kilometer north of Jadena City as things stand. You've got Kick Laser up on top of that roof. He's not too far away. Michael and the rest of LG are moving up, but all Snakers is doing right now is a little bit of reconnaissance, trying to feed the information. He's going to hear Kufas get inside the Dacia, and that will be the signal for the rest of the team to go. Nade will be ripped, right and ready as it's thrown up over the corner. But it's going to go too far. But it doesn't matter, Chunks, because Snakers peeks over. He manages to find the opening knock of the engagement, and that'll be a point on the board. But Santi will trade it back. So Luminosity, they've got a little bit of work to do. It's a 3v3.
Voxic going to crash in onto this, try and capitalize on the damage. Snakes has found, maybe try and get himself the res as well, but Gats and Michael are really going to struggle to try and get involved onto this one. Gats just running down the hillside, trying to close the distance, and imagine Michael is running back over for a car. Smokes are out to provide Vox with a little bit of extra safety, but Laser just going to be covering that window, watching for the cross. Let's not forget Santipro up at the top, providing that Overwatch fire, as Gats will be getting caught out. Michael goes for the pickup in the vehicle. I think now is the opportunity for LG to close in and confirm these 2 kills of the players already in position. They have an advantage, but as Gats goes down, Molotov lands close to Michael. He can't jump over this. He's going to have to try and vault, but Voxic, he's been caught out. Underhand nade might just connect, will force the player to expose himself. Molotov's still going to be down, but Michael's under pressure from behind. He's getting tagged up. Santi putting in work over here. Michael just forced to go down pro and just playing ring around the rosies, around the wall, and it's Kufas who peeks out, finishes off the job, and that is a rough fight for LG. Only 1 point on the board in this game.
Phoenix get 4 of their own, so everything looked so good for LG. They set the trap, but Phoenix didn't fall for it. You lose Neptunes, but guess what? There's a recall station in your compound, so you go for a little wander, you pick up the blue chip, you bring your teammate back, and you've got an opportunity to build something even more in the game. Now, depending on the next circle, and depending on the flight path that the recall plane goes for, you should be able to land back inside with the rest of your team. While all that was going on, though, everybody else has been rotating inside the circle, except for Team Liquid and Al-Qudsiya, who are a couple of 100 meters now from the borders. Luke was hunting down Al-Qudsiya. He's going to turn tail, though Roth driving not too far away, but for Al-Qudsiya, they will be the first to arrive inside the circle, as we do have some aerial support on the opposite side. Now, Chunks, can Noego, are they going to be able to maybe do some damage on the Liquid as they make their way in?
It's not looking like it right now as Fisher gets damaged, but oh, I was going to say he might be able to regroup up with his teammates, but Sparkin, just leading out the vehicle, will be able to take him down. They continue sending it. Sukiro gets 1. Faravero tries to find a second, but will be taken out by Luke 12, swinging out the side of the vehicle. Team Liquid, they're committing onto this now, using the ridge for cover. Nades go up over the top. Sukiro getting ready to peek that rock. Is he going to get caught out? Seems like he takes some damage. Luke 12 finds the headshot in the end. Team Liquid, they may have got a player down, but they are smoking him off and looking to try and clean up this fight. The vehicle move coming out from Martin. Not sure whether he's going to try and go for the roadkill. Doesn't seem like it. In fact, he might end up as roadkill if he gets tagged up much more. We'll get over to the hard cover. They need to get the res onto Alo before these smokes dissipate, because no Lego, they're going to be looking to flush out every point that they can.
I don't know why Martin is staying in this fight. Maybe he thinks it's his best opportunity of picking up more points, but it's a 3 versus 1. You're out in the open. Kurt misses a shot with a bolty. That just gives Martin an extra life, and at this point, he will get... Martin, you should be getting out of there. You should be getting out of there. You're giving a massive opportunity for Team Liquid to deal with your team. Kurt's going to go wrap his way around the road. He'll realize that there's nobody there, so you send Kurt around the side. Sparking keeps Martin trapped onto the edge of this compound. This is just Liquid on the hunt.
This is really impressive from Liquid. If any of them have a BZ nade now, you got to imagine they try and get into the distance to use it, force Martin out of the building. As Kurt can anchor round the back. Kickstart on the other side of things. Did get himself a kill over onto Team Mirror. So we may see that fight start to kick off soon. For the time being, Sparkin just being so cautious about how he approaches this. Nade will go through the window. Seem to be on the money, and it finishes off the job. That's Martin. No Lego down in 15th position. 4 kills on the board now for Team Liquid. There's Emmy from Toyo looking over towards Vinny.
Emmy will just peek around the corner. Now, you know that you've got to knock onto another member. Closes the door because he heard the nade being thrown. Gives him a little bit more of an advantage, but he drops down to 5 HP. Helmet's taking a beating. Cowboy gets an angle from way off on the north, and he gets the knock onto Emmy. And that is a signal now for No Way to up the aggression once more. 3 players for Toyo. Capitan will look to lead the way, but he's very close to Vinny on the other side. And I think for Toyo, gotta be careful, because you cannot take a team like No Way for granted. They've got so many talented players, And in a 3v3, it can go any way.
Sparkin making the move in the bus. Zico able to take down Luke 12 with the VSS. So he's certainly been using it effectively so far this evening. Spectro able to take down Purdy Curdy. That leaves only 2 left up now for Team Liquid, but Halo going to be able to find one. Spectro forced to move away. Halo looking out, tries to find the spray onto Spectro, but no joy this time. It's Team Liquid, they need to clean this up quickly to be able to get their players back in the fight.
Yeah, Team Liquid, 4 kills on the board, as you said. Luke and Kurt have been downed already. Kurt's too far away, so I think that he'll probably fall here as well, as Sparking will get a point on the board. But for Resmi, they're doing what they need to do. A lot of people asking about the patch. Well, if you want to know what patch we're on, just look on the other side. There's a VSS in play instead of a DMR. That's all you need to know. So just keep an eye on that, as it might become more and more ever-present as the night goes on. Falcons, they got unlocked, so they're going to just ambulance their teammate a little bit further to the north and get all 4 players back on the board as well. They're looking to double down on what was a very good game number 2.
I want to see the long-range M16 back in play. Look, we're playing TPP. Let's go full nostalgia mode. Pop an 8x on that bad boy, see what happens. There's no way. 2 kills on the board. They've got a good position inside the zone, but it shifts away. You got to imagine they've got no way out. Team Mirror, Toyo, both applying pressure onto them. Phoenix now getting a little bit surrounded by AKA. Looking to try and find an angle as Nanu gets ready to peek over the top. DZ swings around the side in the vehicle and finds himself the knock to go with it. Nanu tries to return fire onto another AKA vehicle, but not able to make anything happen. Zadria closing in, Sparking. He's just been bullying people with the seat swaps. He's trying to do it again now.
Yeah, but I think this time it's going to be a bit of task. Oh, he did a little bit of damage on the Spectro. Halo, he'll be able to find that knock as these 2 teams mutually assure their own destruction on the edge of the circle. Resmi will find those kills, and H1 with a drive-by Panzer, by the way, on the Cowboy. Goes back for a double dip. Rello gets knocked by Tig, and Alcudia getting torn apart at the seams. D and Roth, the last 2 players standing. Roth will get the Panzer ready, hoping that Falcons will go for another drive-by attempt. Will Roth be able to land it? They're wrapping around. You don't want to give away your magic trick just yet, Roth. H1 gets the knock onto D, though. H1 having fun here on the PUBG Players Tour. Roth now switches over to the gun. He's completely outnumbered, outgunned, and he is outdone. Alcudia wiped out in 13th place, and Falcons will get everybody back on their feet once more.
And look over at the map feed as well. They've just got a central position after a hard northwestern shift. So they are going to be really happy they were able to take that fight so concisely. Just a reminder, everyone in chat, make sure you do !map. Pull up that map stream so you can see all these rotations coming out, because I can imagine there's going to be a lot of scrappy fights and we're not going to be able to keep track of all of them in a circle like this. There's a couple of teams already now committing over towards Danching. We got Mirror and Enemy both playing the ridges next to each other as Anzera tries to find some long-range SLR shots onto the vehicle. He's just not having any success as Team Mirror have started heading further into zone, trying to prioritize a more central position, maybe grab himself some hard cover as Tony tries to grab himself and knock out the vehicle.
Yeah, Tony's the front line of potentially dangerous as well. He's holding this compound all by himself, while the rest of the team play a little further south. But here comes the push. Oh my god, he gets the knock. RBN actually is going to find it, but I don't know what Tung Sahur's Skamish was thinking there, closing the gap on foot. Maybe he was hoping to catch Tony by surprise by making no noise, but Tony was aware. Fixin, he's going to try to cook up a storm here with that nade, throws it towards Lawson. Lawson's going to fall. Fixin, though, will get knocked by Zig. So for Team Mira, you've lost one, but I think that he's done enough that the rest of Mira can help them out. So you send LFP a little bit further north. He wraps around the side. Fana will get a kill confirmed of his own. An Enemy Well, you've left 2 players stuck in this position. I think that I'm enemy. I'm getting out of there. I'm moving.
LFP right there. You saw him. I think he maybe thought he had the AR in hand, not the DMR. Tried to go for the spray onto the vehicle, but no joy. Using the smokes now to close in. Enemy have themselves a nice ridge to work with, but Fana could cause them problems. It seems like they're going to send Anzera further out to the west, trying to potentially find an off angle. And there is a nice hill that he could try and work with, but it is a high-risk, high-reward play. He is completely out in the open as he makes the rotate. The rest of enemy now start to make the move. Team Mirror potentially looking to give chase here, but they do have a nice ridge they can stick to. Tony with the Groza. Doesn't matter when you got a C4 like that. Down goes Tony. First player from PD to fall, but Necro will get knocked in return as PD now look to try and salvage, but more vehicles start to close in. Glock sweeping round, no info to work with. Loki still left up, and the Panzer in play from his teammate. Frag grenade ready to go out, tries to land it through the window, but it's just a little bit wide.
Karashi's in position now as well, though, as all of PD closing this position. And as they leave, there's a backfill battle going on just behind them. Phoenix and Resmi taking the position that has just been given up by PD. Zyko, he's got himself a Panzer. He is ready to send it up towards Kufas, up on the northern or the southern side on the high ground of this compound. Steps around the side, absolutely misses and whiffs off the Panzer and sprints out of there with the UMP. So that didn't go the way they would have planned it. Loki is dealt with. Necro actually downed and flushed himself. I think he might have had a nade in his back pocket. But Phoenix with 2 up have got to deal with Resmi.
Resmi quickly becoming the 9mm Warlords. Zico there with the UMP. Is that a double shotgun play coming out that I saw? Resmi prepared for this close range engagement. But you can't prepare for an aid like that. Zico will go down. Leaves 3 left up now from Resmi. But they're able to take down Santipro. Now only 1 player left from Phoenix. It seems like Resmi have the read onto this one. Sticking the res, remaining as a 4-man. They've got the shotguns. They've got the SMGs. They can definitely take this close range fight efficiently if they work as a team. But Spectro holding the outside wall has now been spotted out by Dudu Gladiator. Goofus looking to try and return the fire, but it's too late as Spectro now will be flushed out.
Yeah, and here come AKA off the back of that knock. So, you know there's 1 player up on the high ground. And Resmi, they're in trouble. And Zera's still alive from enemy. He does 27 damage onto Danshin as Toyo are dealt with a little further away. That was over on the eastern side of the circle. Zinni, he's got another nade ready. He's going to throw it up towards Kufas. And, well, if you look at this, the rest of Resmi have fallen a little further back. So Kufas has got to deal with all of these players by himself as Falcons. Not quite the kill tally they had in the last map, but they've got 5 on the board already. You've Tiggleton holding back No Way. And they're in a really good position on the north side of the circle if they can deal with No Way. But if you've got the map stream open or you look in your bottom right, the LFP is creeping his way closer.
Yell. Is the vehicle up? Looking to try and find an angle onto 55, but he needs to be careful of Psycho. Up the hill, will continue to make the move as now Solds. A little bit pinned, should be safe. The blue is on his back, but has the vehicle, has the smoke. Hopefully we'll be able to find a position. Up on the north, Falcons. They're looking to get involved on to team to their west. AKA, they've committed onto this crash. Will it pay out in this next shift? Or will they have to finish off Resmi before being able to move away?
Well, the answer to that question is not just yet. Both these teams will continue to hold the compound. And yes, if you're new or you don't understand the lay of the land, it looks like it's just a cube. But the players from AKA, they're on an elevated position over Resmi, so they do not need to move just yet. Elsewhere around the circle, though, we can see that Rock, they're over to the east. They've got to make a decision as to where they move from this position on. They might just roll up on the edge and decide their next move, or they could hunt down 55, who are on a vector right now towards the members of Falcons. You can see as well some trigonometry is happening on the north of your screen. He's sending them up into the sky and trying to catch 55. Not quite close enough for the first, but it usually doesn't take too long to work it out, and he gets it right. He lands it on Kerak. He flushes Kerak out. Peepa's been knocked. This is playing beautifully into the hands of the members of Rock.
Trigonometry in full effect right there. Takes down one, flushes it out as Psycho. Nearly being finished off by the grenades of Rock. But it's Psycho who ends up denying the points. I want to say that's intentionally. And Rock will now fill this position. I assume that Tig doesn't have any more mortar bullets left as he hops in the vehicle, getting ready to make a move, but being saved by his teammate and Nightavon. Catching the players who are looking his way. LFP might be able to make a dash over to safety here as Rock seem preoccupied, looking over towards this rotate from Falcons, aka still inside this compound. They don't have to push into Resmi just yet, so they're going to try and find any kills that they can at range. As Zig peeks up, tries to take the fight on Samcro, but it's actually going to be Vinny from No Way who's able to spot out of the compound and find the kill. No Way with 4 kill points on the board, making it into the top 7. Minute left till the phase shifts, and for now it seems like LFP is the only player left to make a move.
Yeah, he's creeping his way up to Falcons. He's got a nade in the back pocket. He's got spotted, though. He was going to do serious damage on the Falcons, but he's forced to dip into cover. Now, that doesn't mean the opportunity is gone just yet. He's going to get another chance to pull the pin. And is he going to pull the plug on the Falcons? He throws the nade. It doesn't do enough damage. And now, all of a sudden, you're on the back foot. Your position's been revealed. And Falcons Kickstart's going to move his Bugatti. And RBN will get the knock onto LFP. Rock looking this way. They've got 5 kills of their own. There's 6 teams left alive and 22 players in the lobby.
Circle now, getting ready to make its pop. See where we go, and it's off to the west. So this position that Resmi held has become very valuable because you can see on that smaller picture just how open those fields are up to the north. Everyone is going to be scrambling for cover. So I imagine Resmi, they want to try and defend onto this, and AKA probably want to try make a push further into the compound. Rock and Rock and No Way, both with a huge rotate to try and make here to what is ultimately a very vulnerable position. Resmi, shotgun in hand, waiting for the players to peek, finds the damage, finds the knock, looking for a second, a little bit more damage is found, goes to the peek, but it doesn't work out. Doo-Doo Gladiator there to find the trade. Underhand nade comes through, but it's just a little bit off, bounces awkwardly, and will not connect. AKA now sending it back through the build as Zico ended up knocking himself. Doo-Doo Gladiator finishes off Valiate, and that's AKA 8 kills on the board, but now a whole other team to try and navigate.
Yeah, Rock realized this is the window of opportunity for them to take a compound in the circle. PD, AKA, and Rock all on the southern side now, all in one compound, or one compound that extends into another on this southwestern or southeastern side. BL, he parks on up. Maybe he parked a little bit too soon. He wants to go further north, but Zinni will throw the nade this way. And that nade would have been perfect had it been thrown a couple of seconds earlier, but Rock make landfall. Zinni will do some wall climbing now as he tries to get an off angle, aka looking to deal with Rock fresh off the back of another international LAN. And Doo-Doo Gladiator will find the knock onto BL. He's been doing it time and time again. Stun grenades being thrown, but can Rock hold their ground?
Nades come out from Rock, not thrown in the right window. Danshin gets off the roof. Now looking to throw some flashbangs. Rock waiting. Not wanting to overextend here. Using that third person. Trying to find angles. Gather that info. Without exposing themselves, but not paying attention to the window. Doo-Doo Gladiator is going to punish them for it. This is a huge performance from AKA now. 8 kills on the board and not showing any signs of slowing down. BL will bleed to the zone. So now the question becomes, can they find the revive onto Santa? It's a lot of pressure on Souls to try and connect with it. Nades landing through, clearing out that staircase, but RBN has already made the move. Potentially dangerous. Nitavon, he's got to be looking over in this direction, aware that someone may expose themselves. The buildings, however, providing just enough cover. Speaking of cover, Falcons, they've just about been able to find some inside the zone, but now they're getting caught in a crossfire of their own.
AKA still battling with the members of Rock, though. Santa peeking through that window. Smoke is in position, but will jump north to that fight between No Way and Falcons. The Doo-Doo Gladiator, by the way, from way downtown, gets the knock and flush onto Shrimsy. Stun grenade has been thrown his way as the blue will start to choke him out. Potentially dangerous. They're making their move now as well. They know that Falcons are weak and there for the take-in kick. The last player standing, his toes right in the open, his Achilles heel's been found, and Korashi will get the knock. Falcons fall in 5th place, and it's an all South American Final Four. Potentially dangerous, aka No Way and Rock. But this battle between also known as and Rock Chunks, it's got to end soon because these teams are inside or outside the circle in phase 7, and it's going to close in 6 seconds time.
There is barely any cover inside of this circle, by the way, so PD, they're making their rotate early on. I don't think they're too concerned about trying to third-party onto this. They should have themselves a ridge line to work with where they can find an angle over onto this compound fight. But Vinny, he's already found an opening onto Glock as No Way starts to get involved. Just look how limited the ammo is, though, for Vinny. He's got 0 bullets in reserve, maybe forced to drop that DMR if he wants to land some sprays. As Rock now just waiting for that blue to close in. It is tanking its way in, and it does a hell of a lot of damage, as RBN just found out. I think that was a BZ nade going up to the top floor, trying his best to sweep out and provide pressure, deny any form of cover from AKA as Souls goes down to his own BZ nade. Will be able to find the knock first, but gets greedy going for the repeak, and now they need to be worried about Dan Shin. Only Smoke's going to be there to provide cover. Dan Shin barely outside the zone, should be able to just about play the other side of this rock, waiting for those smokes to dissipate so he can find the kill onto Santala, but he is tagged up by the blue, and that'll be the end of Rock for this game. 4th place for them. Danshin, he has a position to play, really just hoping that No Way and PD can kick things off without getting him too involved.
28 minutes have almost elapsed inside the server. It's a 3v1 v3, potentially dangerous at this point in time, are looking to win 2 of the 3 maps that we've played so far. On game number 2 of the night, they didn't win, but they still came in 2nd place. They're going to extend their lead a little bit further, but now they're making their wrap towards the south. They know that Dan Shin is here. He's going to step inside the blue, but Tony will deal with him. He goes into the blue, though, and it chunks like hell inside of phase 8. It's a 2 versus 3. Tony ain't getting back inside this game. No way. They've set up their fort here on the northern side of the circle. It looks like it might just be runners up once more for PD, but for No Way, this is a big opportunity for them to get points on the board.
PD just calling in that emergency cover, trying to scramble for anything as the nade will blow up Sam Crow's shield, so weakening No Way's position a little bit as they try and get a little bit more central. Remember, phase 9 will just be a dot in the center of this current circle. Nade goes up, lands onto Sandcrow, does a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough to find the kill. He manages to pop the first aid, so he's back up to relatively high health. Vinny, even with limited ammo capacity, he's dropped the AUG. He is focused on the DMR shots. They want to end this one quickly. Sandcrow using that third-person camera, trying to look over the smoke to see past it, but he's not been able to. There's a gas can over there. Now, I'm not saying that it's gonna work, but I'm saying it could do as PD start to make the push. If they can throw out a nade now, that's potentially an extra set of damage that you can find onto potentially dangerous. The smokes are still up. PD holding on for dear life. They're starting to dissipate as Vinny just covering. He's only got 30 bullets left to work with. Samcro really being forced to play point now. 6 kills on the board for No Way, but can PD find a way to overcome the odds, the numbers that are stacked against them, and find the damage? Well, they certainly have done over onto Lopez, but it's not going to be enough to get the knock. Nitamon goes down to Samcro. 2 HP on Samcro. He isn't going for the heal. He knows he's going to get peaked any second. Kuroshi able to take him down as PD. They might just be able to get the revive off of this.
Well, stepping out through the open is Vinny. Karashi gets that knock, and you can see that the climb is up on top of the rock. Now it's a 2 versus 1. Lopez cannot get Vinny, and PD might be about to pull this game from the brink. Lopez in behind a tree, but he's got center dot. If you're potentially dangerous, you've got to give Lopez a decision to make. The first player steps out inside the open. It'll bait the peak. They're both lined up. The one good spray from Lopez could find both players, but they're going to step on over. Lopez goes down to 3 HP. Kuroshi, he's on the 1 HP of his own. He's going to go prone. Lopez, he's there. It's back to a 1v1, but Nidavon gets it done. And potentially dangerous. Win 2 out of 3 games, 20 points on the board. And what a game that is. They are rocketing their way well up in the lead of day number 1.
What a game indeed, but we always talk about how PUBG, it's a bit of a war of attrition, isn't it? It's all well and good being in a power position that people aren't able to push, but if you're in that power position, you're taking a lot of shots, you better have a lot of ammo to go with it, and I think that's what we saw from No Way go wrong there. They were in power positions, they were taking fights, but they weren't in positions where they were able to actually loot up bodies. You saw 3 of their players towards the end there, all kind of swapping and trading guns, dropping rifles for DMRs, just so that they were able to keep the ammo going. And I think that's what really led to them having a problem towards the end game. Samcro was the only player that really had any ammo to work with. And yeah, fair play. He was the one playing aggressive. He was the one using the AR. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to make it work. And that left the other 2 players really limited on what they could use. But ultimately, you can't take away from that huge play coming out from Kuroshi right there, being able to take down not only the player on the peak, but also the second one who was coming towards you. And then ultimately going through that war of attrition, forcing that final player from No Way down to the DMR, down to low health, and being able to finish off the job. Well rewarded with 20 points.
That puts them up over the 50-point threshold on the night, also known as picking up 14 points of their own. No Way with 11, and Rock getting 9 in 4th spot when it comes to points tallies on this game. But how does that make the overall leaderboard look at this point in time? Well, no surprises whatsoever. Up on top of the leaderboard will be PD on 55, Falcons in 2nd on 40, Rock in 3rd, and then all the way down to Toyo in 16th. All the teams with a yellow mark on the left side of their name, they have already qualified through to the Masters. So as things stand, Al Qudsiya and Phoenix will be taking the next 2 spots. But we are going to jump into a very quick break. When we come back, it will be the 4th and final game of the night. Do not go anywhere.
A collaboration with ESPA, and some changes to vehicle camo netting. All this and more as we dive into the update 36.2 patch report. First up, Miramar is getting a visit from the K-pop group ESPA. All across the Badlands, you'll find concert venues, decor, and other visuals based on the group. Many other maps have ESPA visuals, such as themed care packages and planes as well. There's also an emote stage on the starting island of every 8x8 map for you to perform some of their most iconic tracks, including their latest hit. Next up, vehicle camo netting is seeing a durability improvement and is being added to Rondo and Tago this update as well. The improved durability only applies to bullet damage, and there are still some conditions in which the netting is instantly destroyed, so check out the patch notes for full details. Clan system is also getting some love. There are new ways to show off your achievements, including a new weekly ranking page, along with new clan tag plates. Full details in the patch notes. There's also a new survivor pass. Regions with duo mode can now choose one-man duo in normal and ranked. And we've tackled some bugs, so be sure to check out the patch notes for details on everything. Update 36.2 is here, so park the car in a safe spot and get ready to rock out with ESPA. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
And it is time for our final game of the evening here in the PUBG Players Cup as part of the PUBG Players Tour, qualifying for the one of the final Masters of the tour. My name is Chunks, joined once again by Gibson, and we are here on Orangle to wrap things up with the Southern Plane Path. And let me just tell you, the last few times I've seen a plane path over here on Orangle, it's been a Novo Milta circle.
And, well, you know what? There's every chance that it could be the exact same again.
I hope so.
With a flight path like that. We've got ourselves our arrowhead formation now as all the teams get off the plane at the right times. Primo will be completely vacant at this point in time. But, Chunks, you said you expected like a Novo Milli circle. Liquid, usually Go George, they're gambling on the Milli circle. Resmi, the exact same. I'll be curious if this pops north. Do you think that maybe PD or Rock could set up that bridge camp to catch these teams out?
It's a good question. But, I mean, with this circle, when it hard shifts down to the south in Phase 2, like, they're not going to need to worry about that. It'll be Liquid bridge camping them, right?
That is also the case, but I don't think that'll happen. The circle just popped, and all of a sudden, these teams that went towards Millie Island now have to move north. At the moment in time, 55 Esports, they've got prio over the rest of the circle if they can get looted and booted and moving right off the bat. And Chunks, when I see a circle like this, positions that I think are really powerful, well, obviously Junkyard just north of Shelter's always a great spot. Ghost is as well. But we'll pick up on that point, Chunks, in a little while because AKA are hunting down Toyo.
Yeah, Doodoo Gladiator giving chase right now. He's got the M4. There's 2 players inside that vehicle, and I don't think either of them have guns, so this could be some free kills if he can make it work. Hops out.
Reload.
He hits the reload. He's got 8 bullets left. What's he doing? He's chasing, cancels it, runs up to the top of the staircase, but now he's surrounded by 2 of them. The player up top potentially has had the opportunity to be able to get a gun. What is Doodoo Gladiator doing here? He smashes the glass as the player on the roof does get tagged down low. He's got a sword off. He's been able to pop the first aid, and he's got a window through to the staircase so he knows when he's being pushed.
What do now as he steps across and will do that, and he gets the kill onto Benja as the Gladiator holds his ground. Manages to pick up that kill, hits the prone, and well, Capitan is going to come hunting for some revenge, and the winner of this battle, well, you got a recall station not too far away.
Still, taking a fight like this so early on, how much time can you really commit to it? The rest of AKA now starting to move in. They can use this hillside for a little bit of high ground. Studio Gladiator able to land some shots through the window. Needs to be prepared for this push now. As he jumps out the back, tried his best to find an angle onto the pushing Toyo players.
He's on the outside now. He's going to step across, opening the door, and the footsteps will give away his position, and he gets caught on the door, but Zinni will help him out. Gets the knock on Adrias, also known as, will get the reinforcements in position. Emmy is on the very south side of Rozhawk, and he finds the knock up onto Zinni on the hill, so he catches off one of the anchor players for AKA. Capitan, though, he steps out, and it's Doo Gladiator once more with another kill. Emmy is the only Toyo player left standing, and AKA putting in some good work.
Yeah, they've had a really strong performance tonight for a team that we haven't seen all too much out of so far in the Players Tour. As now another team that we have seen previously perform last week is going to be no Lego trying to find some shots, but no joy this time. Losses in will get taken out. Faravero is going to be the one to connect, but they are so split up right now. It's not really much that they're going to be able to do. Only a solo left up. It's all onto Anzera, but now he's being taken down low by Martin. As the solo and the rest of No Lego, well, they are just pushing through. It's only going to take 1 or 2 bullets, especially with this AK at close range, and that's the end of enemy down in 16th position. I do want to go back to something that you said earlier on, Gibbs, and you said with this circle, there's a couple of high priority positions. You only mentioned positions on that Northern Island. Have you not been watching the Players Tour? Have you forgotten everything that you've seen? If I know anything about the circles here in the Players Tour, this hard shift's down south. It looks like it's going Millie. Everyone commits up to it, and we end up in Milta.
Well, you know what? If it happens, I'm not going to complain. The players might, but I won't. But
look at the map. They're all on the south coast.
You gotta assume that it's a low likelihood option, right? In reality, as much as we want it to happen, it's one of the lower percentage zones that we could get at this point in time. If it happens, will I complain? No, not in the slightest. Well, I was speaking about positions, and 2 of the positions I were going to talk about was East and West Coast. The position that Pipa and Psycho find themselves in 55 now, this is East Coast. The compound on the other side of the road is West Coast. Between those 2 spots, you can just control all the traffic that comes down that road. You've got access to Death Road if needs be, and you could bug out to Milta as well. This is a really good position that they can play in. And you look at another good position to be in. Well, I always think up in the sky is a good spot. And Rello is scouting everything out for the rest of Al-Qudsiya, realizes that new compound is completely vacant if his team want to take it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Al-Qudsiya rotate that way.
Yeah, I mean, Rello calling out the info. He knows that those positions are taken. We'll now know that LG have taken a spot, but we'll also have the read that only 2 vehicles turned up, so we may see Al-Qudsiya try and play that instead, though. It looks like they're going to head over towards shelter, use the bunkers for some extra cover. Never mind, it seems like they're a little bit undecided about what they want to play inside this circle.
Yeah, Falcons at the moment will play on Death Road for now, as Kick and Shrimsy will have a little gander at what is going on. You've got the Wizard's Tower not too far away, but this is essentially a position very close to the center of the circle as things stand. Also looking at what's going on, we've had a couple of E pickups as Sekiro was made his way into the zone. He's going to drop by Gatka. Maybe he's hoping to get a vehicle and secure some ground on that western side. Phoenix, though, Chunks, they had a really good last map, but I still think we're yet to see the best of them.
Yeah, definitely. They've really been performing you know, better than expected for a team that we haven't seen before. And I'm trying to think if I've seen any of these names in the Players Tour before. I think I recognize Laser, maybe Santi, but in terms of Kufaz and Neptunes, I think they're both two new players to the tour, so it's really impressive to see them having such a strong performance and really being able to adapt to this zone, because they are dead center right now. They have a really good position. Now, the question will come when teams start to make a rotate through. You can see teams like Liquid, who are currently actually holding the very southern tip of the island. They're holding this bridge, just making sure that if it does shift down to the south, they can rotate back. But you've got to think the next hop that they make is probably over towards Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that you're probably not too far off with that assessment. Sam Crow, he's looking to assess his range as he looks over in the distance, gets a little bit of damage dealt onto him from Falcons, which are, remember, Death Road, by the way. That's how far away they're dealing damage to Sam Crow from, as he was looking to turn his attention over towards the members of Rock. LG, not awfully far away from Al-Qudsi. I did predict that they would take that compound with Roth finding it as safe, and that's exactly what they've done. But Chunks have hedged their bets. They've left Relo and D a little bit further away. They're going to hold some ground as, oh my god, Liquid closing in on Tung Tung Sahur.
Really impressive there from Liquid, finding themselves the crossfire. That's what I'm talking about. There's the long-range M16. I told you it'd be back. As Purdy Curdy now trying to close down the distance, switching over to the M4 for the engagement. But this is a pretty open hillside to try and move down. Now, granted, Cammy doesn't have an angle. The flashbang will deny that little bit of extra info. Prenade comes down, could be close enough to find Luke, but it's not close enough to find that all-important knock.
Yeah, Necro, he's going to just stay alive for now. Sparking wants to close this gap, but in TPP, you're at a disadvantage whenever you're closing this gap, because the members of Tung Tung Sahur can stand on the other side of the window, and then the second you close the open ground, that's when they peak. Now, something you see sometimes in TPP is players smoking off the windows as opposed to smoking off the ground. And that's exactly what's just happened. So Kurt has smoked off the window. That will give him an avenue or a corridor to close the gap. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So Alo uses that gap. He's going to step up in. He gets the information. Alo gets the knock. Alo gets a second. And Tung Tung Sahur are eliminated. And just as if they were reading the script that I was saying, they played it to a T, and Team Liquid using their brains here and getting a couple of points on the board.
Just annoyed that the circle shifted up to the north. I was really banking on it go down to the south. The same being said for Resmi. But this is going to work out well for a team like LG. They're not under too much pressure over here at Shelter. I think my big concern about Shelter, though, is that lack of hard cover. It is one of those positions that can be so easy for teams to crash. And I think that LG, they've identified that. They're going to try and move to either consolidate or find themselves some better hard cover rather than just sticking on these hills. Because right now, they have no real pressure on the northern side. It looks like actually they are just going to pull the vehicles inside, so they are fully committing to it. Or are they? Because Michael's splitting off. I'm very confused by LG Stroud right now.
I think they're just playing a split, right? You can get in and out of Shelter from different points. You keep your car safe. I think they know that the north is relatively clear, so they're taking all this ground. One thing I did notice, Kurt is rocking the M4 M16 combo. I genuinely think that's because of the nerf. Because DMRs have been nerfed, you can use that M4. It's got the higher rate of fire. You can use it, you know, the discount DMR might just become the bargain DMR at the moment. But Chunks, Mira, PD, take it away.
Haven trying to go for the peak. Not able to land the shots. Kyoshiri tries to go for the peak, but not able to land it. Haven gets himself the knock, but now PD, they're going to try and third party, or should I say regroup on this compound. They need to be careful because Alo's got the read on to Nightavon. Throws out the nade. Doesn't connect, though.
Not going to land just yet, but it will allow Sparking to reposition. He's going to go further north inside the circle. PD doing the exact same. But with that shift being the way it is, a lot of teams that are playing on the edge want to move as far north as they possibly can at this point in time. And I think that if I'm Team Liquid, you probably might be able to share farm or at least put some pressure onto it and do damage onto Rock. But instead, They're going up to the compound now. They're going to the yellows that Resmi are playing in, and the dip just below.
Yeah, but look at this from Resmi. They've got a glider up there. Are they going to be able to get this info, be proactive in terms of that information gathering? I mean, it doesn't look like it. It looks like Zico, if anything, is having a bit of a problem using that glider effectively. Out come the smokes, though. That's going to be the cue that a team is pushing onto them. I do wonder whether a player up in the glider might be able to catch them from a bit of an off angle. It'd be a bold landing to try and take, but I mean, Liquid, they're making a bold play themselves. Kurt hops up onto the roof, trying to cover any players that might be holding the back. As he spots one out, he can't find the shots.
Yeah, Sparking will peek once more, but as you said, no angle to be found as the player will hide inside the closet. Now it's Otis, that's Otis, who's been very, very good for Resmi so far tonight. A lot of utility being dumped this way, and that's all good for Liquid, because the more utility that's thrown and doesn't land and doesn't find any damage, the less that Resmi are going to have. But Otis Sakayu, he is going to have a big say in this fight. So will the sawn-off Chunks. A peek around the corner from Alo. He finds the first knock, but that's a good nade. That forces him to step up. Otis Sakayu gets himself one, but he's not going to find another one.
Valiate, though, comes in to try and find the trade. It's not to be, as he will get taken out as well. That final player left up in the form of Zico tries to crash in. It's a 2 versus 1. It's not beyond all reason, but it's hard to retake a compound like this, especially if Team Liquid are already going to be hitting the revives, trying to take it back up to 3. That seems to be the case. No lethal util is landing, but that BZ, that could be huge. That could not only find a re-knock, but maybe find a second. Just needs to give it a couple of seconds to bloom. Down goes Sparking. Damage not going to be found onto either of the other players. Luke 12 just spamming out the flashbangs, trying to prevent the push. In the end, he decides to make one of his own, but it doesn't work out as Zico finds the VSS knock. Alo trades it, but he's the final player left up. He's vulnerable to a third party.
And that is that for Resmi. Team Liquid managed to pick up the points, and we're seeing a couple of more weapons be used. The VSS almost shredding Liquid to parts, but all we got right now is Rock moving in. They saw the kill feed. They know that Liquid are trying to get players back on their feet in some reses, so they extend out from farm. So RBN, he'll play the edge of that ridge. Soul's peeking over here as well. And the thing is, because Rock have done so much good work in securing their borders towards the west, they know that they can aggressively extend out of farm and peek towards Team Liquid. It's just a really clever play.
Certainly is. But they need to clean this one up quickly. Seems like instead Rock opting to move back off of this. They know that Liquid are at the very least weakened. And they know that they're probably not going to remain in this circle for much longer. I think Rock need to start rethinking their next steps. If I was in their position, I'd be looking over towards Tiggleton's position, trying to identify that he is a solo. There's no Lego. They've identified Alcudia. D, get him ready to respond to that.
D tossing those nades. Rello's got a line of sight here as well. Wait for the player to step around the side, and Rello will get him down. Noego in a ton of trouble now. You've lost one player, and the rest of Alcudia can start to tighten that noose. Another nade thrown. That one will clean out the player. Sekiro falls at the hands of D. Here comes the flush nade. It'll be thrown through the window, but Chunks, Alcudia, very clean in this fight so far.
Can they keep that momentum up, though? The zone has shifted over to the west, and neither team is in, and that now is going to force potentially dangerous over in this direction. It's up to them, though, whether they want to engage onto this fight or whether they want to make the rotate. D will find the flush. Second point now confirmed for Alcudia. They should be aware that that's a knock over onto a different squad, so they need to rethink how they approach this, especially with the third party now starting to come in from Phoenix.
Roth will throw the smoke down. That'll allow him to close the gap a little bit more and reposition himself. So as we said, you see that a lot. Instead of smoking space like you do in first person, you smoke the windows and the doors, and that allows you to move. But Chunks, while all this was going on, PD, they've come up, they've had a little look. They think that they could do some real damage onto Alcudia now, and if Alcudia aren't careful, PD are going to strike.
I don't think they have the read on exactly where PD are right now. Sure, they managed to find Nox, onto PD. So they know that they're moving in, and I think that's why Alcudzi have opted to move away from this. Now, whether No Lego have the same info, I mean, the only way they'd be able to gather it is from the kill feed. We will have to find out, but it looks like Team Mirror, they might be heading straight towards Alcudzi as well.
Yeah, Team Mira, they're creeping up. It's Haven's the front line of the battle, but he's got 2 members of Alcudzi there, Cowboy and D. So if Haven gets 1 knock, you would like to assume that they'll be able to trade it back. Haven, though, does not fall at the hands of D. D'll throw another nade, and there you go. It's another kill for Alcudzi as they look to break into the top 8. Fana will find Tony, though, as PD still extend out just south of prison, and Fana will confirm out that kill, knowing that the down player is going to be giving his position away here, Chunks, and Night of On has got a ton of work to do.
Team Mirror working as a duo right now, trying their best to sweep. They're actually going to hop in the vehicle and make a move, maybe realizing they don't know where this player's gone, and he knows exactly where they are. On the other side of things, though, Phoenix, they're sending it over towards the Wizard Tower. Santipro tries to go for the hip-fire jump shot, but it doesn't work out. There's now Phoenix just getting absolutely torn apart. It's Alcudzi up the hill, and they've just got the squad wipe. 4 easy kills for them, just third-partying, and I think every single one of them went the way of Roth.
Phoenix got stuck in the door, Chunks. They couldn't get in, and it was just a firing line for Alcudzi, and it's another few points on the board. Night of On making their send inside the circle. Shrimsy will say thank you very much. There's one, there's another one, as he's just picking up kills for fun. He might be able to get some more. He gets the knock on the Soul. Santa will finally end the Shrimsy reign of terror, but LG been holding this. Oh my god, Santa, he gets H1 as well. Somebody stop this guy, because you know what they say, Santa has got presence in his sack. Well, all Santa has in his sack right now is Team Falcons.
Singleton sends it in, able to make a bit of a salvage mission, tries to stick the res on to Kickstart, but no, ends up moving away as Snakers will be able to flush it out. AKA down in 9th, followed closely by Rock. It's LG, Michael, who are able to finish it off. So LG now, they need to try and sweep through this. They need to try and get the final kill onto Tiggleton. The M249 is so powerful, but it's actually Michael with the Dragonov headshot to take him out of the vehicle. Down in 7th place now for Falcons, and don't forget, pull up that map because it has shifted hard over to the west, and the only team inside of this circle right now is 55 Esports, and there's not really any positions that are playable inside of it.
Oh, Fixin with a great spray onto Vox now, but yeah, like you said, 55, the only team inside the zone, but LG will move pretty quick. Fake, he's going to attempt to maybe get that flush, but LG have got a decision to make. Do you go for the res? Because Mira, you know they only have a couple of players up. They're not full strength. And the rest of them are locked in a battle with Alcudzi. Cowboy's going to secure his borders. He'll focus his attention on the Faravero from Noego. But this is what I feel like is the first game we've really seen Alcudzi tonight so far.
Certainly feels like it. They've been picking up points here and there, but certainly not at the level you would expect for a squad like Alcudzi. Roth using that M16, so it seems like it's becoming more popular now to take down yet another player from No Lego. Martin will try and move in towards D's position. I think he's pretty confident in this 1 versus 1. Goes to the spray, finishes off the job, and makes it into the top 5 for Alcudzi. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of ammo that he's going to be able to pick up as well. As Team Liquid, is that an EP? Yes, it must have been, as they all just send it down, back into the compound. Sorry, into the circle. Michael trying to get lucky with more Dragonov shots.
Well, it's not luck if you're hitting them time and time again. It's a trend, and Michael is going to find Fana. Fixin's been dropped as well, and Team Mira are losing players for fun. LG 5 kills of their own now, but here come Alcudzi. They've got the high ground as they start to move north. Team Liquid, you said it, inside the blue. Alo will sprint on up now. I think they were brought in. I think it was, yeah, it was a recall. So they've come in. They're getting some loot, and Alo was just sprinting in from the blue.
Okay, interesting. I mean, look, there's a compound down on the southwest that has nobody in it. They've now been able to call this out. Kurt is just scouting out. I would assume that there's probably going to be at least some loot still available in here for these players, but never mind that, because LG, they're looking for kills, not loot. They take down 3. They've still got 1 player left inside the vehicle, but D spins out the side, jumps out the window, will be able to find the knock onto Michael, ends up flushing Snakers as well as D. It's just basically bullying LG right now, wipes them out and gets out Godzilla on 13 kills.
Hops in the Aston Martin and just runs over LG for fun. And he might have the opportunity, should have the opportunity, to get some reses back on the board. 55 Esports, they'll deal with Kurt, who didn't really have much to work with at that point, being brutally honest. So he'll be hoping that the rest of Team Liquid will be able to do something. Now, Alo's been knocked as well. So at this point in time, Sparking and Luke need to earn their keep. You've just had the person who brought you back die. Can you do a little bit of work? D gets another kill. That's 14 for Al-Qudsi now, 6 for D. And it's a 3v4v3.
Really impressive game from Al-Qudsi, regardless of where they end up placing in the end. Kurt, no real surprise that he is going to bleed out. I don't think it's even worth reviving him, since he doesn't have anything at all to work with. Luke 12, Sparking, both still up. I do wonder what the state of their loot is. Maybe Luke was able to land on a body. Maybe they are literally just running around naked, hoping that they can survive and get some extra placement points out of this.
Zera, he's got Relo in his sights, but lets Relo move a little bit further, and no point in taking the shot if you're not guaranteed the knock at this point in the time. So Al-Qudsi, they will play the north side, just between the E and the L of Shelter. 55 still with all 4 players up inside the circle, and then Liquid with the 2, but we've not seen what their loot is yet, Chunks. We've not had a chance to see how strong or weak they are at this point in time.
I mean, they at least have guns. That's somewhere to start. Not much help, though. When Psycho and Pip are able to spot you out like that, Sparking will fall. 55 looking over in that direction, maybe expecting more players. Little do they know that Luke 12 is out prone looking for that rock. He actually just about manages to make it. Karak trying to find an angle, but doesn't want to overexpose himself right now. And Luke in a very difficult position between a 3-man and a 4-man with 0 meds and a level 1 helmet.
At least he's got a gun. You know, he's got at least some way of fighting back, but as you pointed out, level 1 helmet, he's already taken damage. They know exactly where he is. I think for Luke, your days in Erangel are numbered. That sounds like a threat, but genuinely, it's going to be tough for Luke to do anything, especially now with the circle shifting south. This, barring a really big opener for Al-Qudsi, 55 should be winning the game from this position.
I do wonder how Al-Qudsi actually choose to approach this, though, because, I mean, look at the terrain. Look at how open it is. 55, they can stay inside of this position. They're inside of the circle. Al-Qudsi have to make a bold play here. Now, it might just be, okay, let's go for the kill onto Luke, and then let's just try and get anything we can onto 55 Esports, or it could be, okay, we've got nothing to play with. Let's just send it over to 55, hope for the best. Then Luke could actually do some damage. Not only could he get some extra placement points by making it up to 2nd place, but he could also try and find some flushes, try and find some kills onto Al-Qudsi, and when they make the rotate.
Yeah, the blue zone will begin closing now, and it'll take about 1.5 minutes to close from this point. So that's going to funnel Al-Qudsi over. Now, I don't think they've got any C4s. I didn't see any in their inventory, so they don't have the opportunity. I want them to, right? Go for the full send, but I think with the way that they're moving, that's not the case. They know you drive by on the look, you might get that kill, but the main priority is dealing with 55.
Al-Qudsi, though, need to be careful, because they know that Luke's around there. The Psycho takes down Cowboy. Spray comes through looking for a second, not able to connect, but Al-Qudsi, they are getting taken down low. It leaves, I believe, only D left up. Luke 12 trying to go for the third party, is able to, so takes it up to 9 kills now for Team Liquid and into the top 2. But yeah, I would imagine He tries to deny his own. Maybe we'll try and get an extra kill out of it, but Psycho just one-shots him. The one helmet, just not enough, and it's 8 kills in the win for 55 Esports. And I want to give them credit because they kind of split up early on either side of that road. When they saw the circle shift, they consolidated, and they defended really well. No one was able to get near to them.
Well, what I liked about all that was, as well, I said that Alo had to earn his keep. You know, the rest of Liquid had to earn their keep after Alo brought them back in. Well, how's about a second place and 2 extra kills for them off the back of that one? Really good game for them. 55 Esports, they'll pick up the win without necessarily having to do a lot of work with the barrel of their guns, but it all came from, remember what I said at the start? They had a really good prio on the circle with a flight path in the phase 1. They took West Coast, and they did not have, or East Coast, sorry, and they did not have to leave East Coast until the very end of the game. Big game for some other teams. Al-Qudsi with a ton of kills. The same for Team Liquid. But at the end of the day, no matter how other teams did, today was all about potentially dangerous.
Absolutely. I would be shocked if they are not still at the top of the leaderboard. But then again, Liquid put up a strong performance, and that can't be underestimated there. And I got to give them credit because they really did have to fight for every single point in that game. They not only had to take that compound, but they then had to try and defend it from a rock third party trying to backfill onto them. But we'll take a look over at the scores for that game, and it's 55 and Al-Qudsi are tied up with 18 points apiece. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the overall standings, but I think notably is the fact that potentially Dangerous, our previous first place team, now with 0 points in that game.
Yeah, that'll be a stinger for them with the 55 that they already have in the bank, right? So 55 top that map, and 55 points is the tally for PD. Al-Qudsi's point tally, that should get them inside the top 8 comfortably. LG will be hoping that those 8 points will help them climb that leaderboard a little bit more as well. But let's have a look at the overall standings after day 1. As we said, 55 for PD, Falcons on 46, Liquid up into 3rd, Al-Qudsi go from 9th place into 4th off the back of one game, and we'll see a couple teams drop outside the top 8. But Chunks, 3 of our top 8 have already qualified for the Masters, so if things stay the way that they are, the teams placed in 9th, 10th and 11th would be joining all those teams in the $20,000 Masters tournament this weekend.
I think it's really reassuring if you're one of those teams down at the bottom end of things as well. I'm specifically looking at Phoenix, a team that have showed signs of life but have struggled to make it to the late game. If you're able to have that one big performance, you're able to get up a decent number of kills and, you know, get into the late game, you can make a significant jump, and that can really change your chance of qualification. But, I mean, if your enemy or Tung Tung Sahur, you've really got to step things up going in tomorrow, because there's only 4 games left. Now, granted, there's not a huge number of points to be able to gather, but if you've struggled tonight, you've got to really start hoping you'll change something for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll look at our overall summary for the day. Falcons with 34 kills and 5,700 damage, but no surprise to see PD with the highest average survival time. Big shout out as well to Rock, farming some damage on the day and getting a nice little kill tally off the back of it too. But for survivability, even though Toyo were in the top 5, they're not capitalizing. They're on the right side of the leaderboard, Chunks, and usually if a team's in the top 5 for survivability time, they get a little bit further up the leaderboard.
I think it shows how in a lot of our end games today we've had a load of teams still standing, and I think it's really impressive that so many teams have been able to survive, but unfortunately Toyo just not chaining things together. In terms of the kills though, it's going to be D who steals the show, and it's no surprise after that play onto LG in our final game. But of course Tiggleton is out there farming the damage, just putting in work today. So many times we've seen him in situations where he was kind of in a 1 versus 4 almost, was in a position where he had to wait for his team to be able to provide some support, and it was really impressive performance for all of the players that dominated the stats today.
Yeah, and then you got to shout out PD as well. Nightavon had himself a great day on the action. But that is an end of day number 1 of the PUBG Players Cup. If you want to tune in tomorrow, it'll be the same time, same place, where we will find out who will be joining the 8 qualified teams in this weekend's $20,000 Masters tournament. But from myself and from Chunks, it was an absolute pleasure to see you all tonight, and take care.